Welcome to Season 5, Episode 1 of Next Level Gamescast, a monthly gaming talk show. I'm one of your hosts, Droogle, and I am joined tonight by the tech guru, Agent Vincent 4756.
Hello, everyone.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing great. I'm excited.
Good.
I'm very excited for the show tonight. It's going to be a banger episode. We've got a lot to talk about. I think everybody knows that. Huge news this week with the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard. So we're going to dive into all of that for a major level update tonight.
Hooray.
Like a full hour of us really just talking about what it means for Activision, what it means for Microsoft, what it means for PlayStation, what it means for Nintendo and the industry as a whole. What does it mean for third parties? What does it mean for indies? We're going to really just dive into all of it as much as possible and figure out what's going on there. But yes, please, Vince is here. Give him that follow. Wait, you're done on Twitch. I just found that out.
Yep. Today, this morning at 3:30 a.m. was the last Twitch stream that happened. That's it. We're transitioning over to YouTube fully now. Yeah. That was it. It's crazy.
So what, do you have like an easy link that you can share?
I don't really have an easy link.
Okay.
We can figure something out during the show.
So we'll get that set up for you as your new command. But still, I mean, follow him on Twitch as well. You never know.
Yeah,
so guys,
you never know.
Type in !Vince in chat to get his Twitch link. And then, of course, we'll also put the YouTube link in there very soon so that you guys can easily get that and subscribe to his channel and make sure you check out all of his streams coming up in the future. And if you enjoy my channel here and this show, please hit that follow button, turn on notifications, twitch.tv/Droogle. I'm on typically Wednesdays and Sundays with Variety Gaming and talk shows. We just wrapped up Metal Gear Solid Saga. We'll talk about that in a moment. And I'm moving on to Mass Effect once again pretty soon. Hope Derek stops by and realizes that we're doing this. It's happening,
It's
Derek.
happening.
I'm getting Mass Effect trilogy done. And it's going to be amazing. Outcast Havoc is trying to spin the wheel himself. How dare you, Outcast Havoc? Try and take control of my wheel like that.
That's not how it works here.
Duroc, though, coming in with that tier 3 sub, and you coming in with the tier 3 sub. That is amazing. Thank you so much for those producer level subscriptions. $25 or more a month here on the channel gets you that producer credit, which will be given a major shout out at the end of the show. And it also gets you those nuts on that sidebar there. The nuts 300 equals 30 minutes of after show tonight. If we get 600 nuts, we get a full hour of after show. Type in !stream timer at any point to learn a little bit more about how you can make that happen. Trish the Dish coming in as well with the tier 1 34 months. You are amazing. Thank you so much, Duroc, Trish, Vince, for getting us those Kupo nuts, getting us closer to some after show so we can hang out. That's what after show's all about. It's just putting on some chill music, hanging out, talking about video games or movies or pop culture, whatever else. It's really like a laid back part of the show so that we can focus really entirely on the chat, which is not easy during our main show here.
Nope.
Because we have a lot to go through. We have an agenda. We want to make sure we don't miss any of it. We do have a great Discord, guys. If you want to talk with us outside of the live streams, go to discord.gg/Droogle. And we got a lot of great channels over there. It'll be posted in the chat. And Vince has a Discord as well. You can check him out on his Discord if you want to post that as well. Vince, at any point, feel free to post your Discord.
All right.
We're not going to waste any time tonight, though, because we really have a lot we want to discuss, and we don't know how long it's really going to take to discuss it. It really might go off the rails. We might have a lot we don't even realize we want to say about this acquisition. So what have we been playing? I will start off. Let's go to Metal Gear Solid Saga. Although I'm realizing the live chat's not showing up real quick. Let me refresh that for you guys. Hold on a sec.
Didn't even notice either.
Yeah, I just realized that. Chatbox TV, where you at? Restream chat. I think it's Restream chat that's supposed to be working right now. Refresh to cat.
Refresh.
Hopefully that'll allow that to pop in now. But in the meantime, let's switch on over to video and let's talk about what I've been playing. I really for the longest time wanted to do the Metal Gear Solid Saga on stream. It's my second favorite video game franchise of all time, and first being Final Fantasy, as I think most of you know, but I've really never had the opportunity to play it with you guys. I might have done a stream or two with Ground Zeroes or Phantom Pain, not a lot. I might have done a little bit of that, but actually Phantom Pain is easily my least favorite Metal Gear Solid game. Not that it was bad, it was just my least favorite. So it was cool to finally go back to a series that turned me into a gamer. I always talk about the 1-2 punch that was Final Fantasy VII in '97 and then Metal Gear Solid in '98 that really converted me into a diehard gamer. And they hold up so well. It's crazy how well they hold up. I know a lot of people, especially feel like Metal Gear Solid 1 doesn't, and that you should play Twin Snakes, which I think is just blasphemy. Because I was like, no way, Metal Gear Solid 1 is still great. It's got that top-down perspective, but the voice acting, the music, the twists and turns of the storyline and the narrative, the characters it introduces, even the stealth is still a lot of fun to take part in. And I think when you add in that first-person perspective of Twin Snakes, it really takes away from a lot of what the first game did so well. I mean, it's kind of crazy how cinematic it was for 1998. It really was a pioneer in cinematic storytelling within video games, and it deserves so much credit. I think it's still really one of my favorites, even now replaying them. It's still one of my favorites in the series. Maybe 3 is what I'm thinking. We'll talk about it at the end. But moving on to 2. 2 was the one where, okay, this one's aged a little bit in some ways. It's ahead of its time in many others because Kojima called it in so many ways. Like he like when it comes to the digital, information and how it spreads and all that was like on the money. Like he really 20 years ahead of time was predicting all of that. But man, some of the relationship stuff has not aged well between Rose and Jack. It feels real cheesy. The jazzy music that plays and the pacing of the game every now and then as well doesn't really feel as tight as the other Metal Gear Solids. And I think the big problem I have with 2 is the boss battles. Because Metal Gear Solid, that is, I think, the bread and butter of the series in a major way, is very innovative, clever boss battles that you'll remember for that alone. Metal Gear Solid 1 had Psycho Mantis.
Right.
That was like the big one at the time. But even like Sniper Wolf at the time in '98 was a big deal. And then Metal Gear Solid 2, it's like, which one would I say is really memorable? I'm not sure any of them stand out as wildly memorable in Metal Gear Solid 2, and that is the big disappointment of the game. I still love it. I still think it does so many cool things. I think even though the big shell is very sterile and kind of boring in a way in its design, it also is very impactful for those same reasons. Like there's something about its sterility that sticks with you in comparison to Shadow Moses and then the jungle of Snake Eater. So I don't want to talk about Metal Gear Solid 2 as if it's a bad game. It's still a fantastic game. I do think it is the weak point of the series, though. Let's go to the best of the series, though. I still think, now that I've replayed them all, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is the pinnacle of the franchise. From a gameplay perspective, especially subsistence holds up so well because of the full 3D camera control. The delivery of the story is right there with Metal Gear Solid 4. Those two are right on the same level of just amazing narrative, storytelling, cinematics, cinematography, voice acting, music. All of that comes together in a way that 1 and 2 just did not, even though they were ahead of their time, they still did not come together in the way that Metal Gear Solid 3 and 4 did. It's just, the story of Snake is Naked Snake, Big Boss is so tragic, and I love that. As you guys know, I love tragedy. I love those storylines that can gut punch you and tug at the heartstrings. And the end of that game is just so unbelievably brutal, but also epic. Like the final act of that game does not stop. It's just like pulpy, adventurous action, and it just feels, you feel like such a badass throughout the entire last 3 hours of that game. It was a pleasure to go through that one. So I think Metal Gear Solid 3, when all is said and done, is still my favorite. But Metal Gear Solid 4, man, surprised me. The only one that actually made me tear up in my replay was Metal Gear Solid 4 at the end with that debriefing. And I was like, wow, it still did it. It still got me.
Still does it.
At the very end. It's, I know it gets a lot of hate for sort of forcefully trying to tie up so many loose ends, but that's what I respect about it, actually.
Yeah.
Is that he went so hard trying to answer every single question and fill in every single hole. Some of it is a stretch without a doubt, and the cutscenes are incredibly long. Like, you go sometimes not even just between acts, but just throughout the gameplay, you'll be, hey, run from this location to that location for 10 seconds. 10-minute cutscene.
Yeah.
Run from this location to that location for 15 seconds. 10-minute cutscene. Like he would. It's almost like at that point it was like just like don't even put a little gameplay moment of me walking to the next area. It was like he was trying to spread it up so that he could say like there was like not a 4-hour long cutscene in the game, but really when you break it down and if you take those moments where you have a bunch of like little 10-second walk to this next cutscene moment, there are areas of the game where it feels like you're watching 2 hours of cutscenes in the middle of gameplay, not at the end of the game. And I can understand why some people could not deal with that. I just appreciate that it feels like you're playing and watching a movie. It's just like he doesn't hold back at all. It's like his finale. It's epic and it ties up all the loose ends and it's bombastic and over the top and dramatic and theatrical. And yeah, I love it for that. It's still, I like it more than 2. I'll say that's for sure. If I had to rank them, I think for me it would be 3, 1, 4, 2.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think for me it would be 3, 2, 1. No, sorry, 3, 2, 4, 1. What it would be for me.
Wow. Okay.
One for me would just be low because of its gameplay. Anymore. That's just what it is. That's what it is. You know how I am. Very mechanic based, everything like that. And for me, 1 is aged in that regard not so well. I think there's a lot of stuff there that's so ahead of its time that elevates that. Like you said, cutscene direction, voice acting, anything like that. You can't knock it for that. You know, it's so ahead of its time. And for me, the reason why I would have 2 just a little bit higher than like say 4 is because like I don't really find the pacing issues there. And that's for me, I'm not a boss fight person. It was much more like that overall narrative there to me, and that's what made 2 so much fun. I spent so much time in 2 as well, so just one of those things. And you know,
no, I when I first played 2, I was blown away by it.
Right.
Like it was so ahead of its time, and all the little details are insane. The ice melting, or like little things like that. Like I remember. First off, the demo, spending hours on the demo trying to see like every little thing you could do and all the little details. But then the game as a whole is that way as well. Whether it be a coda conversation for everything, or just like, hey, this guy can piss on you if you want. Like it's just it's just like all these little goofy things throughout that game, little touches that show a commitment to the craft, I guess you could say, from Hideo Kojima. It's really just such a fantastic franchise, and I miss it. I really miss it. That's what like I was feeling throughout it is, wow, like can we get this franchise back in some way? Even if Hideo isn't directing it, if he's only consulting on it, I would just love that franchise to come back. I don't know what it becomes though, is the thing. I don't know if it follows any of the same characters at all, or if it's just something brand new, new characters or something that's like very tangentially connected. Maybe, it's like a future. Maybe it's 50 years from now or something like that. And somehow it's very loosely connected to Snake in some way or to Big Boss. But just the gameplay and the vibe and theatrics and the supernatural meets espionage action, all of that I think would be cool to have come back,
Yeah. No, I get you, Ed. I'm hoping that we get something sooner or later. That IP can't rot. I loved Phantom Pain, so I want to see more, to be honest. So it's fine.
The combat, without a doubt, I would love to see him expand on that combat, and I would love to see him approach it in a wide linear sense, because I do think that Metal Gear Solid 5 makes perfect sense for wide linear. I think he just went a step too far by trying to go crazy open world. Because I do like how wide it is at moments, and that allows for great gameplay opportunities. It just didn't need to be open world, in my opinion, and that's why I'm not playing 5, Concur, because I just don't really have the desire to. I'd rather move on to more things like Mass Effect 3 and Horizon and Elden Ring and all that. But enough of Metal Gear Solid, because Vince wants to talk for, I think, 2 hours. He said,
2 hours.
About
everyone just
Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker. So
just sit down, everyone. We're canceling the rest of the show.
Grab the popcorn. Speaking of, we have a new emote, you guys. It is Don Popcorneo. No, Don. It's just Pop. Yeah, it's Popcorneo is our new emote. It's Don Corneo eating popcorn.
Nice.
Yeah, courtesy of Mel, of course, the
Wonderful
meme queen
artist
herself. There's our Pop Corneo. So
I
grab the
love it.
popcorn, everybody, and let's hear what Vince has to say about Final Fantasy XIV and Walker.
So I finished it this morning at 3:30 a.m. I had a 9.5 hour stream I did yesterday, and you kind of said how like Metal Gear Solid 4 at like the final act, how it just or sorry, Metal Gear Solid 3, my bad. How you said like that final act just doesn't stop. Endwalker is like that the entire time, throughout all the streams from December all the way to now. Endwalker, from that initial boat scene that you guys raided the channel on, we saw that and everyone was kind of like, oh wow, this is kind of cool and everything like that. That expansion just kept getting it every single time. There'd be a step up, step up, step up, to the point where I was like, are we taking a moment to breathe? And we didn't. And it was an incredible experience. I teared up quite a few times throughout a few of my streams. I didn't full out cry. There was one scene, the previous stream, that it was pretty bad. Like I was like kind of like I'm doing those pre-cry breaths that was happening. I was like, I need to walk away a little bit because it was a really intense moment with the character. And then last night with the final zone and the things that were going on there, I was just like, and like the song that plays in the zone, it was killing me. The entire zone was killing me. I just could not believe that they had somehow stepped up from what Shadowbringers is, because Shadowbringers like final act is like some of the most insane, epic, crazy shenanigans ever, and they step up on that, and it's just it's insane. And I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit all over the place right now. But what's really great about what this expansion did is that it looped all the way back to 1.0. Now, I didn't get to play 1.0. I didn't get to play that. I didn't really actually start playing until 3.0 in technicality. I really didn't start playing until Heaven's Sword dropped. I kind of missed all of A Realm Reborn's actual start, but we played through and everything like that. And there's I haven't played so much of it in a while to where like there's things I forget and everything like that, but there's still references that I still remember. And Endwalker goes all the way back to 1.0, goes to 2.0, does 3.0. It wraps everything up, and it wraps it up in such a beautiful way. Like, it's not a stretch. Like, there's no stretch of it at all. It's just, it hits every single note.
Does it feel like a finale, or does it set up another expansion?
It sets up another expansion because that's the really great thing about it is like this ends that story. Like 1.0 to 6.0 is a story. That's the end of what like that, like everything that happened in there, that entire journey. Like we're good now. We still have a few lingering things that are going to happen, but there's a really cool moment where one of the characters actually talks about that. Like, what's going to happen if we go and do this, or we do this, or we do this. And it's like all these hints of like where they can go. And it's just, it's so exciting. And I mean, like, again, it comes down to the point too, where like this, the 1.0 launched in such a terrible state. And now that we've come all the way back here to 6.0 to being one of the most popular MMOs on the market with some of the most insane production values that an MMO that I've really honestly seen. Like, there were times where I was just like, am I playing like a single player game right now with the way the story is being evolved and being told to me? Like, it is that well done. And I'm really excited for you whenever you get a chance to actually play, because I think you're going to connect with all these characters. I connected with all the Scions.
It's seeming like Q3 of this year might be where I can finally start 14.
Dude,
we're thinking, yeah.
Because it is such an amazing journey. And like, my thing is like, this is my Final Fantasy. Like, I like 7, I like 15, I'm excited for 16. It's one of those things to where like, it is the Final Fantasy for me that I will always refer to and always look back to.
I think it is for a lot of people now. Poll online saying isn't it most popular at this point. I mean, if you take into account like all of the people that have played 14 at this point, like either just the first part or all the expansions or 3 of the expansions, like, and how many people are simultaneously playing, and it's insane. It's a real phenomenon, and we've talked about it many times. It's an insane redemption story for Square Enix from where it started. It's really one of the great turnarounds in gaming history.
And I still can't buy the game on Steam. Like, you still cannot buy a new copy of this game. Like, I think that's the most astounding thing. That's how insane it is.
I think when all is said and done and 14 is truly over, it's going to be looked back at as like top 3 for sure Final Fantasy games of all time, without a doubt.
Oh,
It's going to be right
100%.
there with 6, 7, and it's going to be 14. It's going to be 6, 7, and 14 are like the 3 that I think are going to be talked about all the time as being like the best. You know?
Yeah, and especially with the way these characters are, man. Like I said, you are going to love. I think once you get past 2.0 and you start getting the 2.1 content and everything like that, you start getting that ramp up. I think you're just going to fall in love with everything this game does.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into it in a major way and like have a commitment to Final Fantasy that's going to stretch probably like a full year, honestly, because I'm just going to space it out. You know, I'm going to do an expansion, then play a couple games, another expansion, and just go back and forth, try and mix in some other content, and, you know, so we don't overburden our community with too much Final Fantasy. But with the rebrand to a more Final Fantasy focus and, you know, all that, it just feel like it's the right time. And I'm really excited to see what everybody is going nuts over, because I really don't know anything about it.
Oh my God.
I really don't. I know nothing.
And that's the thing, like, again, for me, with especially how Endwalker does, like, there's just so much connection that happens, and you have these things happen and these things happen. You see these connections, you see this character evolve over here, and that's the really amazing thing about it again too, is, you know, you have these little cast of characters that you start out with, you know, in 2.0 technicality, and you see this journey about how everyone's had their own growth story and how it all comes back down together in this final moment. And the last boss is incredible. The music, they go full out with it, and then it just doesn't stop. And it's the coolest thing about the phase 2 of that fight is it's like, without spoiling anything, it doesn't do the whole, okay, we got to throw harder content at you now. It just lets you go, and it is astounding. 100%.
I'm glad you loved it. I figured that you would.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's great that it ended strongly for you, and that there's more to come. That's exciting. By the time I get to Endwalker, there'll probably be another expansion.
Yeah, might be 2. It depends.
I mean, how quickly do expansions typically come out?
So I was asking Resonance because he's like right on point with that. So it's been every 2 years, like every other year. So like Shadowbringers came out, there was a year, and then we got Endwalker. You know, like it's like that, and it's just I don't know how they do it. I know I forget her name, but the narrative lead who wrote the main scenario, Shadowbringers and Endwalker, which honestly, give her everything, because
I would love. I mean, with everybody going nuts over her, I would love to see her do a mainline game that, you know, that's not like an online entry, like a single player story focused, like 100% story focused, like linear.
Oh my God.
That I would just love to see what she would do with that. Because it sounds like she's like an insanely talented writer.
Like, holy shit, dude, she is. And that's another thing too. Like, again, just one more point. The really great thing about Endwalker 2 is that this voice cast has always been great. Like when they did like a little bit of the recasting for like Heavensward and whatnot, they changed a few things around, I think, if I remember right. Not too much. But that's the one thing I will say, and Resonance and I were talking about too. Everyone's performance in Endwalker is like at their best level that they could possibly be and more. Like there is such a fine discrepant, like there's just such a fine point of performance, like to where like, you can hear people's voices like breaking, like they're inflicting that emotion onto their voice. It is so well done. I couldn't believe it. Like it helps with every single voice cutscene that you get, that it's top tier acting the entire time. There's really no break on that. There's no goof moments or like, you know, oh, you can kind of tell they kind of wrote the scene, and it was like, nah, everyone gave it 100%. And the same thing with music. This score is just phenomenal at this point. I really want Shokin to be part of 16's score, because
he really sounds like he is. I mean,
oh my God.
When I hear that theme from 16, it sounds a lot like
it's just
14 stuff.
But the thing is, for me, is like what's even more exciting about that is that like I want to hear the different type of boss music that he'll come up with. That's the cool thing about 14 as well. Like you'll have like these very epic orchestrated stuff like that'll happen like in a first phase of a boss, and you'll go in like the phase 2 or whatnot, and there'll be like this really cool like little mini thing that happens there, and then it just goes into a full out rock and roll song. It's awesome, and I think it's gonna fit the vibe of 16 so much more. And honestly, the 3 songs he wrote for this expansion were by far some of the best songs I've heard in video game medium, period. A Close in the Distance will always forever break me. Like it'll always that
Keep your
song.
dick in your pants, Vince.
Sorry, I'm done. I'm done now.
Let's actually slow down for a second. Let's take a breather. We're gonna go to a very short commercial break because when we come back, we are jumping into the massive level update. A lot of discussion on the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard and what it means for many different parties. So everybody, hold on tight. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Season 5, Episode 1 of Next Level Gamescast, a monthly gaming talk show live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Droogle on the 4th Sunday of every month. Make sure you never miss an episode. Hit that heart button here and turn on notifications. Get alerts whenever we go live. I'm either with Variety Gaming or talk shows, typically Wednesdays and Sundays. Also, Vince, he will eventually get you his YouTube channel, so please make sure to subscribe to him. He's moving over to YouTube. It's a big transition for him. It's a big deal, leaving Twitch and trying out YouTube. So everybody show that support and make sure that you keep an eye out. There it is. There's the link in chat.
No short link. Sorry about that.
But everybody, please go to YouTube, go to Vince's channel, give him that subscribe so that you can check out his live content and his pre-recorded content that I assume is eventually coming as well.
It is eventually coming, yes.
Awesome. And of course, get on our Discord. Best way to be a part of the community, even when I am not live. That's at discord.gg/Droogle. I do want to say real quick, just as a heads up, we do have a lot of new custom alerts that I've created, lots of new redemptions and things like that. During talk shows, those are all inactive. I don't want you guys to waste your money or your pom-poms or anything like that trying to get custom alerts or redemptions when they are not active. If we get after show, the 30 minutes or the 60 minutes, I'll reactivate all those things. But during talk shows, we do not want those things to be interrupting the discussion. So just keep that in mind that those do not work right now. And I think that's all I have to say. I thought I had one more thing, but we are going to move on to our discussion of the month's biggest gaming industry news, specifically one thing. It's time for the level update. This is a two-part level update, both parts focusing on the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. We're going to start off not really focusing on anybody but Xbox, Activision, and Blizzard. Let's start with just what's happening there. So in case you missed it, Microsoft will be acquiring Activision Blizzard for $95 a share in an all-cash transaction valued at $68.7 billion. This comes directly from the Microsoft website, by the way. That's inclusive of Activision Blizzard net cash. When the transaction closes, Microsoft will become the world's third largest gaming company by revenue. That's behind Tencent and Sony. The planned acquisition includes iconic franchises from the Activision Blizzard and King Studios like Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Call of Duty, and Candy Crush, in addition to global esports activities through Major League Gaming. The company has studios around the world with nearly 10,000 employees. Bobby Kotick will continue to serve as CEO of Activision Blizzard, and he and his team will maintain their focus on driving efforts to further strengthen the company's culture and accelerate business growth. Once the deal closes, the Activision Blizzard business will report to Phil Spencer, who is now CEO of Microsoft Gaming. Congratulations to him. Quote, "Gaming is the most dynamic and exciting category in entertainment across the platforms today and will play a key role in the development of metaverse platforms," said Satya Nadella, chairman and CEO of Microsoft. "We're investing deeply in world-class content, community, and the cloud to usher in a new era of gaming that puts players and creators first and makes gaming safe, inclusive, and accessible to all. Players everywhere love Activision Blizzard games, and we believe the creative teams have their best work in front of them," said Phil Spencer, CEO of Microsoft Gaming. "Together, we build a future where people can play the games they want virtually anywhere they want." For more than 30 years, our incredibly talented teams have created some of the most successful games, said Bobby Kotick. He is currently the CEO of Activision Blizzard. The combination of Activision Blizzard's world-class talent and extraordinary franchises with Microsoft's technology, distribution, access to talent, ambitious vision, and shared commitment to gaming and inclusion will help ensure our continued success in an increasingly competitive industry. And finally, Satya Nadella wrote to Microsoft staff. He put out a letter saying, quote, "Effective today, Phil Spencer will become CEO Microsoft Gaming. When the acquisition closes, the Activision Blizzard business will report to Phil. We look forward to extending our journey to create a more diverse and inclusive culture to our new colleagues at Activision Blizzard and ensuring all our employees can do what they love while thriving in a safe and welcoming environment, one where everyone feels empowered to do their best work. Let's stop there for a moment and just talk about our reaction to this when it dropped. I remember you woke up later. I woke
up later.
My normal time, like 7:30 a.m. And it was not too long after that it dropped. And it surprised me and it didn't. Like, I knew Microsoft wasn't done. And I've said this for a while now. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, after Bethesda, they're done. I was like, there'll probably be a little bit of a break. It was about a year. But I was like, they're not done. This is just starting. I was like, this is the way this entire generation is going to go. Consolidation, acquisitions, mergers. But I will say, I did not expect Microsoft to jump to Activision first. I was expecting something on the scale of like an EA or Ubisoft or at the time Take-Two, who has become more valuable now due to their acquisition we'll talk about later. But I was expecting somewhere in like the 10 to 20 to $30 billion range, not them going from $7 billion to $70 billion acquisition. That really took me by surprise.
Yeah. And for me, it was funny because, like you said, I woke up later. I woke up to your message saying, let's cut out the NFT topic for the acquisition news. And I was like, what the hell is he talking about? And I went and like instantly went to the very first page of Etc. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. That's the appropriate response. What the fuck? I think we can say it like right off the bat here that even though I don't think we would consider ourselves fanboys or like console warriors or anything like that, we are more committed to PlayStation platforms. That's what we primarily focus on, and that's what we primarily game on. So, it's obviously like an immediate gut punch in that you're wondering, wait a second, what does Activision Blizzard make? What am I losing in this?
Right.
That's your like first thought. And I'll be honest, like for me, it's not that big a deal. It's kind of like Bethesda where it's so weird where everybody's like freaking out and I'm just like, I don't play Call of Duty. I don't play Diablo. I don't play Overwatch. Like maybe Crash Bandicoot, maybe Tony Hawk. But really like this doesn't affect me very much. It's more just like, holy shit. Like as we'll get to, like, how does this affect PlayStation? And could it hurt PlayStation in such a way that I am affected? You know what I mean? But we'll talk about that in a little bit. What games are you attached to that you're now wondering about?
It's even funny because it doesn't really affect me. I don't care. I have a PC.
Yeah,
I have a
same.
PC.
Yeah.
But for me, like it was Diablo. Like I was like, oh shit, Diablo like is now going to be owned by Microsoft. It was one of those things where it was like, again, it doesn't really affect me because I was going to be playing that on PC anyway. I wasn't a huge fan of Call of Duty to begin with. Overwatch, much to everyone's ire, I argued against it for being game of the generation. Made it Destiny 2, so everyone can deal with it.
Hurts
and
to this day.
Yep, and Warcraft. It's just like it doesn't really affect me per se from like a game standpoint, and it didn't help too that we dealt with the whole year of the Activision Blizzard scandal, to where I was kind of already writing off all their games anyway.
Yeah.
That
was speaking of, sorry to interrupt, but that was actually my first response. Like my very first initial thought was, this is bad timing. What? They want to get Activision Blizzard right now? Like, holy shit, what a clusterfuck to become a part of right now. So that was actually my immediate thought, which is kind of surprising me now because I would think my first reaction would be like, oh God, how does this hurt PlayStation? But that was actually my first thought was, holy shit, that's bad timing.
Yeah. And then as we found out later, which we'll go into, it's crazy on how much that played a hand into this whole thing in a way.
Yeah, I think we can talk about that now.
Yeah.
It's shady a little bit, right? It's a little bit muddy, a little bit weird that this entire time this scandal's been going on, not entire time, but at least over the past several months, and probably since Activision started wanting to sell, supposedly like a year ago, I'm sure Microsoft right off the bat was like, okay, we're interested. So Microsoft has known about their potential acquisition, desire to whatever, for a year, and they've been actively pursuing Activision for several months now, especially during when it really heated up recently with Bobby Kotick and everything that came out about him and the culture internally and all of that came out, especially in a big way over those months. And behind closed doors, Phil Spencer and group are negotiating
Yeah.
with them and shaking hands and talking about, okay, what kind of payday is Bobby Kotick going to get out of this? And when you think about that, it's a little bit dirty. It just doesn't quite sit with me well.
Yeah, it's one of those to where, like, if you try to separate feelings, I actually have a really hard time doing it with this whole deal. It actually kind of really turns me off entirely from the Xbox brand, because it just feels gunky now at this point with that whole deal. That's just me. That's not saying, if you're an Xbox fan, that's not an attack on you or anything like that. That's not at all saying that. It's just, that's where it like kind of leaves that with me,
like
in a
bad
way.
Taste. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be the same way too, like with the Ubisoft story breaking, like, 2 summers ago, essentially. And then 2 months later, Sony buying them. Like, with Jim Ryan, the 2 months before that, saying, oh yeah, this is a terrible situation. And oh, look, it would feel weird. It would be like, well, wait a minute. Is it bad or is it actually good? It feels opportunistic and just, I don't know.
They're going to frame it as, we are going to take this opportunity to fix Activision Blizzard. We will rework their company culture. We will ensure that everybody is protected and safe. And I bet that they will. I don't doubt that at all. I think Phil Spencer is that type of person. I think that he's going to do his very best to correct what is broken within Activision Blizzard. So that is the good news. I think that's some of the good news. I think there's actually a lot of good news out of this. Overall, I think there's a lot shady and dirty about it, and I think it's going to hurt the industry in so many ways, and we'll talk about that. But what's good about it is, I didn't really like, even though I don't care about Activision Blizzard, I didn't like their approach in recent years of taking so many small studios and just throwing them onto Call of Duty. Toys for Bob or Vicarious Visions or whatever. It's like, no, like, what? These are great franchises. Crash Bandicoot is a great franchise. Tony Hawk, Spyro, like, there's so many dormant franchises within Activision Blizzard that you could be bringing back in a small scale way that a lot of people would appreciate. Yeah, it might be only 1 or 2 million, but what's wrong with that? Like, what does every game need to sell 20 million? That's always what I liked about PlayStation, honestly, is that they weren't afraid to put some stuff out there that was, this is going to sell 2 million, but that's okay. There's an audience. That's 2 million. And I think now, actually, that there's a chance Call of Duty isn't annualized. I think there's actually a legitimate chance that they pull away from that. They use Warzone as their like permanent Call of Duty service, and maybe they take 2 years between Call of Duty games. I think that they kind of reverse on the whole smaller teams working on Call of Duty, and they allow interesting new IPs to be born or dormant IPs to come back. I think overall it'll be a good thing for games within Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, no, I can agree with you on that one for sure. And we it's funny, we talked about this. It actually should have been a warning sign to us now that I think about it. We just didn't read the signs when we saw all that consolidation internally with Activision, with Toys for Bob and stuff like that, saying, hey, you're gonna do Call of Duty. That should have been like signs to us saying, like, is there something going wrong here?
I think the ultimate sign should have been when Phil Spencer originally came out and really went at Activision after the story broke and like wrote a letter and everything, and it was like, oh yeah, go at him, Phil. And then like a couple weeks later when they interviewed him about it, he was being real cagey, and it's like, no, we don't want to like interfere with how they work. Like, we're not gonna act like we're gonna slap them on the wrist and we're better than them and all this kind of stuff. It's like, we had problems as well. Like, suddenly like his tone changed where it was like, wait a second, you were like really going at them like a month ago, and now you're kind of acting like you don't want to be involved in criticizing them. And that should have been the hint that something was going on right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it just feels weird still. Like, and what even makes it rough too for me is that, like, I actually kind of don't believe that they'll fix any of that culture, to be honest. I really don't, because like their Mixer culture was just as bad. I shouldn't say as
That's
bad.
True. That's come out to be pretty bad, yeah. Not as bad as Activision Blizzard.
And like, and that's another thing too with like not the main division of Xbox, because like, it's everywhere. It's a human problem. But like it's just one of those things where it's just like, I don't know yet. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Let's talk about the possibility that it doesn't go through. This is a $70 billion acquisition. It is going to be heavily scrutinized by multiple entities due to antitrust laws. Does this put Microsoft in a monopoly-like position within the gaming space? Is it enough that it damages everybody else to that extent that it is anti-competition? I do think it's very anti-competition. I will say that right off the bat. And I refuse to believe that this has nothing to do with PlayStation and it has only to do with Game Pass. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Microsoft could have spent a lot less money if they wanted to bolster Game Pass with Activision games. They could have went to Activision and they could have offered them $5 billion. And even that's probably way more than they needed to, but they could have been like, we want all Activision Blizzard games on Game Pass day one. Here's $5 billion.
Yeah.
Yes, it would have happened. $5 billion would have been enough to get Activision Blizzard games on Game Pass day one. They could have done that and saved themselves $65 billion. There's a lot of factors here, but one of the factors that they did this is because, as Paul Online said, it is putting PlayStation into a very delicate situation where they could be starved for revenue, and it puts Microsoft into a very strong negotiating position against PlayStation if they want to, I don't know, say they don't want the cross-platform fee anymore, or maybe they want Game Pass on PlayStation. They are in a very strong negotiating position now if this goes through. So I do think it's anti-competition. Do I think that it's going to go through? Yeah, I don't think it's going to be shut down.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about like the political aspect of the whole thing. The only thing that's different now too is that when the Bethesda deal went through, and again, this is just saying this in like broad terms, when the Bethesda deal went through, that was the Trump administration, correct? That was not during any transitional period.
I think so, yeah.
So the thing too, the thing that's also really freaking annoying about the Bethesda thing is that's also Trump family. So it's really kind of freaking annoying. But to say without anything about that, here, the Biden administration, the Department of Justice here is very much not for monopolies. They are strictly looking at that stuff for with competition and whatnot. And the fact that we already have some Congress members actually kind of going, hold up, I don't think it's going to be smooth sailing here.
It's not just about America either. There are European studios within Activision Blizzard, so this is also going to be scrutinized by EU. Yeah. So there's a chance. I would say there's like a 10% chance that this maybe gets shut down.
That's the thing too. Is like for a full out total shutdown, it's a very small chance. I do think there's going to be stipulations on the deal that happens though, and I think that actually might benefit Sony in a way in other platforms.
There's a reason that Phil Spencer is being very careful with his wording right now, and we're going to dive in this more in the second half about like what does this mean for PlayStation, but I'll just jump ahead a little bit by saying his tweet about the desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, the reason he's doing that and not just flat out saying, hey, Call of Duty no longer on PlayStation, is because if he said that, then Microsoft and Xbox are going to be even more heavily scrutinized because it's confirmed that Call of Duty, the best-selling and sometimes even second best-selling game of the entire year, every single year, is no longer going to be on a platform that currently hosts 74% of the population that plays Call of Duty. So, it's like he has to be very careful right now. But I do also think that there probably is a desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. In what capacity we will discuss and try and figure out. But there's so many different factors to this that need to be discussed, and I'm sure Sony and Microsoft are probably talking a lot right now. I'm sure they're, having phone calls and talking about what this means. And I would love to be a fly on the wall right now.
Oh my God.
Those negotiations.
I'd love to just be a fly in the Sony meetings in general. How much is it's funny. We talk about how much of this do they know ahead of time in aspects. They've
had to know about it for at least a couple months.
You know what I'm saying? Before we know about it, or the general, media knows about it, how much did they know? They
probably knew. I mean, if it's true that Activision Blizzard was looking to potentially sell a year ago, I'm sure that Sony got the heads up on that. And I'm sure they immediately knew we don't have the $70 billion to do this. Microsoft does. And let's save it for the second half. I'll talk about PlayStation more in the second half. Let me address something in the chat real quick. Coming from Ero Senpai, they're getting games that they were already getting, just gatekeeping now. For the most part, yeah. So when I see Microsoft fans celebrating this, there's only one reason that they should be celebrating this. And that is that they get those games day one on Game Pass. Otherwise, literally nothing is changing for them. They got every game that Activision Blizzard made already. Now, Activision Blizzard might become a better publisher and might make better games. That is beside the point. What I'm talking about is, like, as an Xbox gamer, you're not getting anything that you didn't already get. Yeah. The PlayStation family, if this all goes through and Game Pass isn't on PlayStation, we're losing all of that, but you're gaining nothing except for day one on Game Pass, which, yeah, that's great. But is it worth a lot of what we're going to discuss as far as how it's going to affect the industry?
You know, and here to stay on the Xbox tone of things, and this is something that I brought up that I still believe, and it's just something that I can't shake, and maybe we can talk about it for real this time, is like the absorption of costs that Microsoft is doing with this now. And like 9Fox brings in WoW. Like, think about that. Like 75% of WoW subscription goes into maintaining that game. Like servers, data centers, all type of stuff. Like, this has to increase the price of Game Pass, right? If this deal totally goes through.
You'd have to think so, because if you break it down simply by the math, if you isolate it to just Game Pass subscriptions paying off the $70 billion, if you have, God, like right now it's 25 million, it would take the better part of a decade.
Like all 10 years, right?
All of them paying full price, $180. It would take the better part of a decade for the 25 million currently to make back $70 billion. So they're clearly not caring about that. They just don't care. They make like $20 billion in liquid cash a quarter. So I just don't think they care.
But to me, it's so crazy to me that that's like just what we can just absorb that level of cost, and like, there's not going to be any change.
They're the richest company in the world, I think, right?
Right, but I'm just still saying, like, there's still not going to be any change there. Like, you're not going to do anything different here. You're not going to totally do that. Like, I don't know, and that's where I'm kind of like still waiting to see where the smoke clears, because it's like, if Microsoft would announce that, like, hey, like, this deal goes through, and like they say, hey, guess what? You know, World of Warcraft is part of your Game Pass, like basic Game Pass, not Game Pass Ultimate. I'm gonna be like, what the hell? Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they have been struggling trying to get Final Fantasy 14 for a long time. Now they have a first-party MMO, so that's really good for them. Poland Light says, I think Microsoft is just going to lose money for 5 to 10 years until their competitors have been bled dry. I think that might be a part of it, but I don't think that's going to work, honestly. I don't think that just because they're taking away Call of Duty and this and else means that Microsoft is going to dominate PlayStation to the point where they die. Nintendo does incredibly well just with first-party titles, and PlayStation has been gradually becoming very level playing field with Nintendo as far as first-party output goes. So I think that they could survive and do very well on first-party output alone. Maybe they're second place, maybe they're third place, but I still think they do very, very well. So this isn't going to bleed their competitors dry to the point where they need to fold, I don't think. I think it does put them into a weaker position and allows Microsoft, as we just discussed, to be in a very strong negotiating position. But yeah, I don't think this is like the end of PlayStation. Like, I don't think anybody that's shouting that from the rooftops right now makes any sense at all. That it's not that dire a situation. It's dire in that, as we're going to discuss, it could affect the revenue for PlayStation in such a way that they can no longer support their first parties in the way that they are now, and that would be a real disappointment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is there anything else to discuss purely concerning the Microsoft
Xbox?
Like Xbox?
No, I mean, I think we've covered most of the ground there. Nothing comes to mind on my end. I think it's more about PlayStation, the gaming industry now is where we kind of are
that's
taking
the bigger topic of conversation. And let's jump into it. Let's jump on over to topic number 2, part 2. How did I miss anything? Actually, hold on a sec. Let me look at my thing here.
I don't think you have halftime hedge here, where you usually do. I think.
Yeah, I don't have halftime hedge, but I actually did have a couple things from Jason Schreier that were interesting here.
Okay.
So let me read off those. First off, Kotick reportedly wanted to buy Kotaku or PC Gamer to shift narrative during like everything that was going on. Like, he literally wanted to like control news media. To try and shift the narrative and control the narrative. So that's disgusting right there. I'm not even going to dive into that further, but I really hope that guy's out as soon as possible. Jason Schreier, I guess, was talking with a lot of people within Activision Blizzard, and his notes in very simple form, lots of cautious optimism about the merger and Kotick being gone, excitement for more creative freedom under Xbox, fear of layoffs, and he was saying that he believes Call of Duty could ditch the yearly release schedule, as I was saying. So high-level employees at Activision have discussed this already, moving away from the annual release structure, according to two people familiar with the discussions. Although nothing has been finalized yet, there's a belief among many Call of Duty developers that releasing games at a slower cadence will please players and help bolster the franchise, particularly after the weak launch of last year's Call of Duty Vanguard. We're going to talk about that later. Excuse me. The shift may not happen until next year or later, as this year's Call of Duty is expected to redeem the franchise's fortunes. The next one is supposedly going to be another Modern Warfare. Slowing down the Call of Duty release schedule may lighten developers' intense workloads and could provide new opportunities for Activision's game makers to work on other titles. The Blizzard division could also benefit culturally and strategically from the acquisition. I hope they do this myself. I do think it might affect their bottom line in a negative way, but I do think it would be much better for the franchise.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. There was something else I was going to say. Oh, sorry. So there is actually a little small nugget here. It's kind of related, but it's not related. But it is related because it's part of this whole culture thing.
Same, but not
different.
Same.
Well, it's part of the Raven Q&A strike that's going on right now. Raven Softworks Q&A strike. Yeah. Raven is the one who does most of the preliminary development of Warzone, and their QA team in early December had 12 members being laid off, and it caused kind of a huge uproar in Raven. Teams on strike. That strike is still unresolved, by the way. And I remember Jersey Tom
I thought that it was.
I don't think it's resolved. I don't think the strike's resolved.
So
I
then
know that
unionizing did not resolve the strike?
They became unionized, I think. I don't think they got anything there.
Oh, okay. I thought unionizing was the point and that would end the strike.
No, I think that they just finally got together and did it. I will double check that to make sure. Because, I mean, again, it's still a thing, though. Like, that's how long that went, you know?
Yeah. And that was another thing that was sort of shady about this whole thing is a lot of them were fearful that they were just going to be overshadowed. Like, nobody was going to care about their cause anymore because of this merger acquisition. But it seems like things are happening. Good things are happening on Raven's end. They unionized, which is the first time in America that that's happened, which is kind of crazy. But so that's a big deal, very big deal that finally happened. But Vince, yes, why don't you kind of take the lead here in part 2, the effect on the industry?
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at the effect on PlayStation and the gaming industry as a whole, and we only have like kind of one nugget here because we're just going to kind of use this as a springboard for everything. I think we're getting this off our chest, but we have gotten a statement from Phil Spencer and Jim Ryan on exclusivity. I'll just say to players out there who are playing Activision Blizzard games on Sony's platform, it is not our intent to pull communities away from that platform, and we remain committed to that. That's what Phil Spencer said. Sony spokesman said, we expect that Microsoft will abide by contractual agreements and continue to ensure Activision games are multi-platform. And then Spencer, again, also then had another phone call, had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry, and we value our relationship. So
the first thing I think is really funny about this, I saw somebody say it, and I do agree. I don't know that it was his intent, but the whole Sony is an important part of our industry, and we value our relationship part strikes me as they are nothing to us. Like, we could snuff them out in an instant, but we respect them. They're important. So we want to, throw them a bone here and see if we can allow them to survive. That's kind of how it comes off. Like, here, let's try and make sure you still have Call of Duty so we don't kill you. I don't know if that was the intent, but it does, in a sort of fun way, come off like he's belittling Sony and PlayStation with that statement. So let's talk first off. Sony has contractual agreements, clearly, with Call of Duty. Correct. And those could actually last, they could be 5 years. I mean, there could be a contractual thing in place that says Call of Duty is supposed to have map packs, like on PlayStation, that it has to have this content release first. Like, there actually might be several years of Call of Duty being better on PlayStation, actually, after this acquisition goes through, which could be pretty amusing. And it could be the entire generation. Who knows? I do think you're going to see at least the next 2, probably 1 to 2 Call of Duties come out on PlayStation due to agreements, and then it's going to become interesting at that point. And that actually gives PlayStation an opportunity here, in a way, to figure out what they want to do, what they want to agree to, what they want to give up on, in these negotiations that are happening. Or, hey, maybe we just want to say screw Call of Duty, and we're going to spend the next year and a half while this acquisition goes through supporting Deviation and Firewalk and Haven and making sure that these are the COD killers we need them to be. Who knows what they're thinking internally. But the desire word is what I find the most interesting by far of that statement. Him saying not that the intent is Call of Duty on PlayStation, no matter what. It's we have a desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. That word alone implies that it might not work out, and the reason it might not work out is going to be because of PlayStation, not because of us. We tried, everybody. We wanted it on their platform. It wasn't our fault. It was PlayStation.
It's the same sort of bullshit language he used during the crossplay stuff back then. Yeah. The same deal. Sorry, I didn't mean to make that as aggressive as that sound, but it's the same language he uses all the time.
They have to be careful with this kind of stuff. So what is happening then? What would allow Call of Duty to be on PlayStation? This desire to be realized. What do you think is happening behind the scenes, Vince?
Well, what I think is happening behind the scenes is that Sony spent a lot of money on a couple things lately. And that was the same thing that happened with Deathloop and Ghostwire. So I think Call of Duty is going to be fine for a little bit on PlayStation. But I 100% expect Microsoft to be like, nope, we just want it on Game Pass. We just want it on Game Pass, and that's the place you get it. And that is the thing. As much as there's this whole desire to want to keep on it, I don't think so. It's on Game Pass, and that could be used as a leveraging point to get Sony to get Game Pass on their console. But it's like how I felt with the Bethesda stuff. It's just straight up getting content to put on Game Pass because Microsoft's work pipeline right now is not nearly as efficient as what PlayStation is.
If they are really that, I don't want to say desperate as like a derogatory term, but if they really want like Call of Duty and Game Pass on PlayStation that bad, like they really must not see hardware being important. Even if they do release hardware next generation, I don't think it's going to be important to them whatsoever, like at all, especially in America. They're just going to put hardware out for the countries of the world that don't have great internet. And that's it. That's the only reason they're going to put out hardware next generation. If they're already to the point where they want to put all of their first party content on PlayStation, to the point where I have zero to even build a better PC or buy an Xbox. Like there's no reason whatsoever for me to ever go outside PlayStation if Game Pass is on PlayStation.
Yeah.
At that point, they just are a service company.
Yeah. And that's to me is like where like that's the weird thing to me with this whole we're going to make hardware, but we're also going to do this. And this isn't to get in the whole metaverse and other type of bullshit delivery contents we're going to be getting here pretty soon. It's weird, and
I do think services is where things are going. Subscription is where things are going. Eventually, we will get to a point where hardware is non-existent or just doesn't matter very much because people are going to be playing the PlayStation Pass app on their TV and the Game Pass app on their TV, which at that point I assume has to be streaming because TVs are not going to have the hardware capability of running these games, obviously. So we're going to be a streaming future for video games. But are we really like, I don't feel like we're that close to it yet. And I'd be a little bit surprised if Xbox is willing to put Game Pass on PlayStation already. Personally, I would love it. It's like, I'll play Halo on PlayStation. I'll play Forza a little bit. I'll dabble. Why not?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just one of those things, I think, to where like, and my brain just might be wired different. Like, if Microsoft would fully 100% abandon all its hardware, then sure, go for it. Become a publisher. Yeah. That's my thing. Go for it. I don't care.
Whole online, Sony PlayStation clearly does not want Game Pass on PlayStation. That is obvious. And Phil Spencer, in so many words, has kind of implied already that the only thing holding Game Pass from being on those platforms is Nintendo and PlayStation. He's put out quotes implying that PlayStation and Nintendo have denied and declined to put the service on their platform. So
Sony denied putting Halo Infinite's multiplayer on the
Sony
platform.
denied EA Plus.
Yeah.
EA Play.
Yeah.
So, they do not want these competitive services on their platform because it takes away from their storefront the 70% that they get, or 30%, sorry, that they get. All of that is taken away, and it means people playing first-party content on Xbox instead of playing first-party content on PlayStation. Like, even though it's on their platform and they're playing it on their platform, it's first-party content that is not theirs, that PlayStation gamers would be playing. Yeah, and they don't want that. But when does it become too much is the question. If they buy Take-Two next, if they buy EA next, when does it cross a line where it's actually more beneficial to PlayStation to allow Game Pass on their platform than deny it? I think is the question.
Yeah. Which publication do you think is the limit break? Just out of curiosity, like what's the one?
Honestly, I think if they start going after Japanese, I think they're in trouble.
That's my thing. If we get like a Bandai Namco, Sega on the smaller ends here, or if we get a Capcom, that's where to me I think
that's when PlayStation's going to feel like they're in big trouble, because then they're going to be losing what they still have a stronghold on.
Right.
And they can't allow that to happen. They just cannot allow that to happen. I just can't imagine that they wouldn't pull out all the stops to ensure that a Square Enix or a Capcom didn't go to Xbox. For starters, they have a much stronger relationship with them. Them being in Japan alone means that there is much more scrutiny over an American company acquiring them. So they'd be in a much better position to ensure that it didn't happen in a bidding war, because they honestly wouldn't even probably have to have top dollar in order to shut it down. They would just have to have the better relationship and a similar bid probably in order to ensure that Xbox didn't get it. So I don't think that it would happen, honestly, because I think if it could happen, it would have already happened.
Yeah.
I think Xbox would have tried to go for a Japanese publisher a long time ago at this point to try and get a better hold on that country than they currently have. And even though they've improved this generation, it's still nickel and dime, really, like in comparison to the grand scheme of things. Like it really doesn't matter that much. I think that they are going to go after like a Ubisoft or something like that next myself. And
that's actually honestly the part where I get scared, because I mean, as much as we don't like Ubisoft from how they've been treating their staff, right? We've seen the scandal happening there as well. Some might argue like, oh, Ubisoft, what are these jokers talking about? It's a huge company. It is a huge company with a lot of IPs, with a lot of service models, with a lot of developers. And I think that's what terrifies me.
They're about 10,000 as well. They're about the same as Activision.
Yeah.
And they only cost like $8 billion in comparison, but they have like 10,000 employees.
And that's just my thing. If you're able to grab and hold on to a majority of that, could you imagine the amount of just straight up content Microsoft could be having on Game Pass that could just be pushed out?
They already have like double the first party studios at this point of PlayStation. It's very imbalanced at this point. And that's what I think is a major factor towards the antitrust stuff. It's becoming, it's kind of crazy to me that people still look at Microsoft as the underdog. I don't understand it. Like, I understand that they don't have the lead in market share right now, but that's only because we haven't seen the fruits of all this acquisition labor yet. Once these things start coming through, they are double the studios of PlayStation. They are 100% the overdog, if we want to put it like it's not even close. PlayStation is at an unbelievable disadvantage in comparison to Microsoft, because they don't have the funds that they have. Right. But that's where the question comes in, like, what does PlayStation do right now? Do they just continue focusing on partnerships and time exclusivity, or do they bite the bullet and say, we gotta kind of do the same thing? We got to get into this arms race in a bigger way. It's something that I've been calling it for a while now, and I refuse to acknowledge Jim Ryan and Phil Spencer saying that it's not an arms race. It 100% is an arms race.
Yeah.
It's now who gets to these other studios first, these other publishers first. And the thing that PlayStation actually has on their side right now is the scrutiny that Microsoft is going to be under. This acquisition might not go through until fiscal year 2023, which is a year and a half away. That is a year and a half potentially that they probably are not going to want to take a risk of acquiring anybody major.
Yeah.
If they go after a Take-Two or a Ubisoft or Square Enix or EA especially, if they go after anybody like that, they are putting their acquisition of Activision Blizzard in jeopardy because they're going to look even more like they're monopolizing the industry. They cannot take that risk right now. They've got to wait until everything goes through with Activision Blizzard. That is 6 months to 18 months that PlayStation doesn't have to get into a bidding war with them, at least. Might be with Facebook and Google and Amazon and whatnot, and Tencent or whatever. They might be getting into a bid war with them, but they don't have to worry about the most powerful and, what would you call it? Like, it's powerful. The most powerful financially company in the world. With the war chest, they don't have to worry about them if they are going after Square Enix, Ubisoft, Take-Two, something like crazy like that. And they've already said over the next 3 years that they have $18 billion set aside for mergers and acquisitions. That's before all this happened. Yeah. Before even Bethesda, I think, was acquired, they said they had $18 billion in play for mergers and acquisitions. So let's look at the dollars here. Square Enix, probably about after the upsell.
The bump.
It'd probably be about 8.5. And I think you'd probably be looking about the same for Capcom, 8.5. They could get Square Enix and Capcom for $17 billion, probably. Do they do it?
I mean, here's my thing. It's weird because I go back and forth on it, to be honest. When it first happened, I was like, I don't know. I don't trust Sony to do this. But with some of the more news that's been coming out lately, I feel like Square is 100% for sure happening. I don't know how it's going to happen.
If they want to sell, that's the problem. What if they don't want to sell?
The thing is, we've been hearing so many things about this very close relationship they have with PlayStation, and Sony did bail them out back in the day.
Yeah,
and
I bet they're kicking themselves for selling the shares they had in Square Enix. Originally it was 18%. After the merger with Enix, I think it went down to like 8 point something. But I bet they regret selling that stake they had in Square Enix at this point.
I'm not sure, because I think that's kind of more built on honor. I think that system over there is a little bit different.
I think if they still had the 8% right now, I think they would have a seat at the table, and
that's true.
They would be able to get things started negotiating for an acquisition or a merger or something, which is something we should talk about in a moment. Like a merger, like that's not outside the realm of possibility. It doesn't have to be an acquisition. Mergers are also maybe a great response to something like this. And let me also make clear here, outside of what just happened, I would never encourage this. I would never want PlayStation to acquire Square Enix or Capcom or anybody. This is bad for the industry. Yeah. This consolidation is bad for the industry, and I don't want any of it. All of these multi-platform games that have been multi-platform, these IPs for decades now, should have remained that way. Ideally. I know it's like that's, sort of a utopia to imagine that. I know you're going to lose things here and there, and you're going to have time exclusivity and things like that are going to happen. But that's a lot different than, I just shocked myself and my screen went down. What the hell just happened? I need to take off my socks or something. I don't even know where I was going. I shocked myself and I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
No, you're just saying like how, and overall, it's just bad. Like we really shouldn't be here. And unfortunately, because how do I say this in a not very negative way? Because someone couldn't compete really in the traditional sense, they decided to change the entire board game is what is essentially happened. And
some are saying this with a sense of irony. I think it's a very tongue-in-cheek thing that I'm seeing a lot online right now. But speaking of mergers, like, is there any way that Sony and Nintendo would be like, we gotta team up now? Like, we see where this is going. Nintendo is in a really bad position, honestly. I think much worse than Sony, actually, because they don't like do any acquisitions, and it doesn't seem like they have any plans to. They don't talk about it at all. I know they got the Luigi's Mansion team recently, but like they don't seem to care at all. And if Sony gets Square Enix or Capcom, that is a lot that they are taking away from Nintendo. Taking away Dragon Quest, taking away Monster Hunter, like shit like that. Like that's a huge detriment to Nintendo. Like, I don't want that to happen. I don't want Nintendo to be detrimentally affected in that way by PlayStation needing to acquire these people. And like taking the sort of West versus East approach would kind of be amusing, where it's like Nintendo and PlayStation join forces to take down the big bad American company that is Microsoft. I just think it would be hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because like Nintendo is in that weird spot right now. Like they're like almost the complete opposite of what Xbox really is in a way, because like they thrive off their first party successes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you know, they also have one of the best selling consoles out there right now,
Yep,
and it's just
100%.
indies. It's indies. Like if anything,
But that can change like that. That's the thing that I hope Nintendo realizes, because it's happened to them already with the Wii U not that long ago.
Yeah.
The Wii U was a monumental failure. And let's not also forget that Nintendo 64 didn't sell very well. GameCube sold even worse than Xbox. Like they've had kind of like flash in a pan moments like the Wii and now the Switch, but they've also had complete bombs when you compare it to the competition. So it can change like that. They could have a terrible next generation. You never know, Nintendo. So you better watch out. If Sony also starts acquiring major publishers like Capcom, if they start going after the Japanese ones and then Microsoft is capitalizing on the American ones, what is Nintendo left with?
Yeah, it's
just their first party, literally. Like, and they are already kind of that, but like they still have some things like Dragon Quest and Monster Hunter, which are important to that platform. So I think they need to be wary of where things are going. And
I agree.
It makes me wonder if there's some negotiation power there with Sony. Like, you know, maybe we should do something about this. Not acquire Nintendo, but team up with Nintendo. A merger. Sony Nintendo.
Yeah.
Imagine that bomb drop.
Oh my god, I don't even want to think about it. I couldn't.
That would be like the most insane thing ever. I couldn't even imagine the explosion. This was already like probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, gaming story in decades. Yeah. If that came out, oh man, forget it all. That changes everything. This already kind of changes everything.
Yeah, Mario on PlayStation coming soon. Like, oh my god, I can't even say that without like kind of going, ugh. You know, like just it's so bizarre.
Yeah, Poll Online is like reading my mind. I think he said the same thing in the chat right after I said it or right before I said it. Doug, welcome to the show. Good to have you here, Doug. I feel like in these scenarios, Nintendo is just in their corner, minding their business. That's always been them. They just like don't give a shit about anybody because they kind of do fine on their own. Yeah. And everybody just buys their console for their first party stuff, and that's fine because their first party stuff is absolutely fantastic. But it doesn't mean that they're going to sell 130 million units again next generation. They could go back to doing really well with Nintendo 64 numbers of 25 million units sold instead. You know, is that good enough for them? Maybe. I don't know what really their desire is, but I would think after having the success of the Switch, you don't want to go back to Wii U or Nintendo 64 numbers. You want to at least stay in that realm of 100+ million units sold after everything is said and done. You would want to stay around that range because your shareholders are going to not be very happy if it goes the other way. So go ahead. What else you got?
No, it was just, it's weird because like, you know, I'm thinking about like what does Sony do from this standpoint, and like again, I don't really trust them to. It's not even about trusting them, you know. Just I don't expect them to buy anyone, like in the sense of like doing like a Square Enix or a Capcom, right? But at the same time, I keep kind of going like, well, who could they buy? And like I was just gonna ask, I'm just posing this question here, like, what happens if they buy up a bunch of smaller developers and
Bungie?
like, well, like. I think I don't know.
Not publisher, but what if they pick up like Bungie and they pick up, you know,
well, here's
Ember Lab, and they just pick up like a bunch of little ones that put out like a game every couple of years, and they really bolster their catalog just by picking up a bunch of little guys.
Yeah, I don't know what Bungie's whatever is, like, you know. Sorry, I can't remember
their valuation.
I know what their value is, and I know they have big aspirations for being a European publisher. I know that much, but
I doubt it's even $1 billion.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. But like, think about that. Like, off a shorthand for me, I'm just trying to think out here. Like, you know, you have Kojima Productions if they want to sell, Bungie if they want to sell, Ember Labs if they want to sell. I'm thinking IO Interactive.
Yep,
if they want to sell, and I'm just trying to come up with other like Remedy. Okay, so yeah, like think about that. Like with the Activision deal, you could have bought Remedy for what 67 times over or something like that. With the Activision deal that Microsoft just did, it's kind of crazy. And I mean, like, you got 5 developers kind of like right there. Bungie being like the biggest one out of all of them. And I don't know. I mean, that's kind of.
I think what
like
you also need to look at is like number of franchises too, like that are being added to your catalog, and that's why I think Square Enix and Capcom are like an amazing bang for their buck,
right.
because getting both of those for $8 billion each, let's just like fire off. You're getting Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
you're getting Dragon Quest, you're getting
Okay.
Tomb Raider back.
Back. Yep.
You know, you're getting Street Fighter,
Street
you're
Fighter.
getting Mega Man, you're getting
Yep.
Devil May Cry, you're getting Resident Evil,
Yeah.
you're getting Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's more. Like those are like all amazing franchises with a lot of history. There's
Yeah.
a lot of history attached to PlayStation for starters, and you get all those. Like really, let's fire off what Activision has that they're actually capitalizing on now: Call of Duty, Overwatch, Diablo, and like kind of Tony Hawk.
Yeah, it's whatever other random project can fit in there.
You know, like it's like they're really like 5 strong. Like really is like they're big franchises. But if you acquire Square Enix and Capcom for 1/4 of the price of Activision, you're probably getting like a dozen great franchises right there. Dragon's Dogma, yeah.
So what about Konami?
Deus Ex, Hitman, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Hitman thing is weird because it's like partial, but it's not Square.
Now, none of those are
really
even
bizarre.
close to Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a huge loss. No matter how you cut it, Call of Duty is a monumental loss. But I do think picking up a whole bunch of great 6 million, 7 million, 8 million unit sold type franchises like Final Fantasy and Resident Evil and Devil May Cry and all those, I think that's just as good as having one 20 million seller or 25 million seller like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It diversifies your portfolio in a much greater way. You know, you just need to worry about losing the casual gamer is the problem. But I think that PlayStation, I honestly think that the moment that they knew Activision Blizzard was looking to sell, that is when they started formulating these partnerships with studios like Haven, Deviation, Firewall, because they knew we need to start preparing our multiplayer shooters, our multiplayer competitive arena, you know. And I think that Deviation especially has a great chance with their talent involved of doing something that could ultimately become like a 10 million plus seller great franchise, you know. I don't think that anything is going to get there with Call of Duty anytime soon. So many have tried and so many have failed at this point that I don't think it's feasible or realistic to imagine that Sony is going to very quickly come up with their Call of Duty competitor. I don't think that's going to happen, but did we just get another pledge?
It's another weird thing too, because you got to think about, and again, just this is more just thinking long term. Like, say the worst happens, right? Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox platforms only. So we'll say Xbox and PC, right? That's cut out of PlayStation. You're still losing 74% of your player base, right? Now, obviously, there's going to be a rate of conversion that goes over. There's going to be some people who pick up, you know, an Xbox console or get that gaming PC so they can play their COD, right? But don't you think that, like, if Sony is able to have a good alternative to where it's like right there, I mean, you have 74% kind of up in the air. I mean, are you like, it's one of those things where, like, I don't know. I think there could be a really good shift in how that works out. You know, Warzone's the hard thing because I think it's free to play. I don't think it's ever going to change from being off PlayStation, to be honest. But like anything else,
you think Warzone's going to stay on PlayStation? You mean?
It would have to. I mean,
I think so too. I think that's one of the games that's going to stay on PlayStation.
It's like Fallout 76. It's like that. It's like Elder Scrolls Online. Like they are existing service models, so there's no point to get rid of them on a platform. Now, the money that they generate now goes to Microsoft, which is an issue. You know, that's the thing. Like,
it's not an issue in that Microsoft gets more money because Microsoft like already is richer than God. So who cares about that? The problem is if it takes revenue away from PlayStation, right? That's the problem. Not that it's a problem. Like no. It makes us sound like what do we care? It does matter if you are a PlayStation gamer because those are that's the revenue that supports amazing blockbuster productions like The Last of Us Part 2. Nobody else is making games like The Last of Us Part 2 or God of War because that is a single player linear like game for the most part that is not going to continue to bring in microtransactions out to wazoo and all that kind of stuff, but they're still putting $100 to $150 million into the production budget on these games. The reason they're able to do that is because they're supporting. They got the revenue to support. PlayStation is thriving. PlayStation is doing well. If PlayStation suddenly isn't doing as well and they're not thriving, then expect the budgets to go down on those games. It's just not going to be as high production value as we currently have. And that would be a real disappointment.
Do you think there's partly a plan for this Project Spartacus to kind of help also offset that in a way too?
Project Spartacus, I think, will 100% be some type of answer to Game Pass. Right?
Okay.
Like, I don't think that they're doing this not thinking like we need something that is more competitive. I don't think it's going to be Game Pass, but I think that they have an opportunity to do their own thing and coerce people into staying on the PlayStation platform because of this great service. And I do think the right course of action, even though it doesn't really matter that much to me, in all honesty, is just an unbelievable catalog of backwards compatibility. The history of PlayStation is, maybe I sound like a fanboy here, but just so much, just 10 times stronger than Xbox.
Yeah.
The PS1 generation alone, which Xbox wasn't even a part of, has some of the most iconic franchises and games ever. When you open up that hundreds and hundreds of games being on the service for a price that probably is going to be less than Game Pass, actually. It's probably going to be more like $120 instead of $180 a year. That could be very attractive, actually, and it could help keep people on the platform. So I do think that they're looking at Spartacus as a way of keeping people in the PlayStation ecosystem, but I don't think they're looking at it as something that's going to be like, this is PlayStation's Game Pass, where they have like first-party titles on their day one or things like that. I don't think they're there yet. I think they might get there where they feel like they finally need to do that, but they're not there yet. Because that would, that would really affect their structure right now. How the first party structure is, and how much money goes towards building these amazing, games within the first party studios. That would completely shift that dynamic because they don't have the money to support that. No. Xbox does. PlayStation does not. Not to say that PlayStation isn't doing well. A lot of people keep saying things like PlayStation doesn't have enough money to acquire X, Y, and Z. It's like, yeah, they do, actually. They probably have like a good $45 billion
actually, I think
they could spend. Are they going to? No, that's Sony as a whole.
Sorry, 58.4 billion cash on hand. Sorry, that's a stat. That's what I remember.
58.4 billion cash on hand. That's Sony as a whole.
Yeah.
But I mean, Microsoft as a whole is not Xbox. The Xbox division actually isn't that big a piece of Xbox as a whole. They're probably bleeding money, actually, because of Game Pass. It's just that they have faith in the future of Xbox, its importance, which is why Satya Nadella is listening to Phil Spencer and investing. But Jim Ryan, I hope, would be able to convince PlayStation as a whole of PlayStation is really like the dominant force of Sony right now. Sony Pictures is doing well. Spider-Man No Way Home, definitely doing great. And their music division, doing fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But it is PlayStation, front and center for Sony right now. And I would hope that Jim Ryan could go to, sorry, I don't know his name, and say, like, you need to let us do what we need to do right now. Or PlayStation is going to hurt in such a way that Sony is going to hurt massively.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, that a lot of people, I know it's so much fun to hate Jim Ryan. I know it is. It's so much fun to hate the guy with his foot in his mouth moments, right?
Yeah, he does have those, for sure.
But that dude dominated Europe, along with someone else. I forget who he worked with then, like that time. But that's the reason why PlayStation, it's just a household name in Europe.
Jim Ryan people want Jim Ryan to be Phil Spencer, and they should be looking at Herman Holst. Herman Holst is our Phil Spencer.
Yeah,
he's the guy that literally came from game development and rose up the ranks. He is our Phil Spencer. Jim Ryan is a guy that's had 30 years in the industry and knows it in and out, and is a very good businessman. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. And Herman Holst is there as his, has his sidekick to know games and let him know where to invest gaming wise. Like, they're a great team together. Mm-hmm. Jim Ryan sticks his foot in his mouth without a doubt. But I think it's a great duo, those two together, Mr. PlayStation. Derek says bring back SOCOM.
It's weird because, like,
Resistance, Killzone, SOCOM, MAG. Which one? Or do they go new?
So I think you go new, but I think you also bring those titles back when appropriate. I think starting with Killzone, and I think Killzone should be the all out warfare type game that even I had this really weird like idea of what it was supposed to be from this really random leak about that 4v4 to 8v4 to 8 I'm sorry to 8v8 to 16v16 to like, you know, where it was like that constantly scaling warfare game. I think Killzone can be something like that. That could be a Battlefield type game. Killzone could be designed that way.
Yeah,
SOCOM could, you know, SOCOM could definitely could bring back the tactics. They could bring back that whole thing to where it's got more of that.
I personally don't ever see Killzone becoming anywhere close to like a COD level type game and what it sells. I just don't see that. I think they need something a little bit more approachable than that, honestly. I just feel like Killzone isn't approachable in the same way that Call of Duty is from like an atmospheric perspective, in all honesty. And that's why I would want them to go new, you know, Call of Honor, Medal of Duty.
This is where I think again you would see almost a rebranding of Killzone. It's been dormant for a while. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing too. Like if you start putting really big, bright, colorful fields with like a bunch of sci-fi, like think about like Horizon's art style right now. You know, do something like that, but with Killzone. I don't know. That's got some very strong visual identity to where like you start throwing destruction there, it'd be cool. Deviation's game is, you know, apparently what you're expecting kind of in that way. It's going to have that really cool art style. You know, there's going to have that, you know, that it's apparently just going to be that game. It's going to be like, this is, you know, an answer to Call of Duty because it's actually kind of mostly designed by Call of Duty devs, ex-devs in a way, you know?
Go to Doug in the chat here. First off, saying Square and Capcom have extremely devoted fan bases. That's exactly why I think they're good. I know that a lot of people would say, like, why would they pick them up? They're already so faithful to PlayStation. By picking them up and making them exclusive to know that those franchises will always be locked to PlayStation is just going to keep those already devoted fan bases so attached, like religiously attached to PlayStation. And I think that might be a smart move on their end. I feel like Killzone devs have effectively moved away with the Horizon franchise. I think that there's a lot of rumors and speculation behind the scenes that Horizon is a 2-studio team now at this point. And maybe even like 3 in a way, and that they're assisting Fire Sprite with their VR title, Call of the Mountain, on PlayStation VR 2. So I think that they actually could be doing Horizon and another franchise simultaneously. I wouldn't be surprised. I think that's one of the strategies, and I think a really great strategy on Sony's end. I think one of the things they are doing is they're hiring in mass right now. Mm-hmm. And I think they're hiring in mass because instead of acquiring new studios, they are acquiring so many developers, like individual developers, people, that they could build a second team within Naughty Dog, within Guerrilla, within Media Molecule, within all of them. And then by, you know, the effect of that is you are doubling the number of teams of making games, but they're also attached to already existing studio names and studio names that have a lot of prestige. Because if Naughty Dog starts putting out, if they have 3 studios, that's 3 Naughty Dogs. Mm-hmm. Is what it is in essence. And Naughty Dog is like the pinnacle in a lot of ways of quality game development. So, but in essence, you are creating 3 Naughty Dogs. You are acquiring 2 extra Naughty Dogs if you add 2 teams onto that. So I think that's actually a really good strategy on their end. I don't think it's enough. I do think that they are smart to create these partnerships with Deviation, Firewalk, Haven, because by creating these partnerships and owning the IP, if this IP takes off, those studios are going to want to stay with the IP, and that bridges to, okay, let's do another one together, and then after that, maybe you become first party. Yeah, you know. So I think there's a lot of good strategies in play at PlayStation. I just think that, in honesty, it's too slow right now, in comparison to what Microsoft is doing. In 1 year, they have added on like 20 studios. Just by acquiring Bethesda, ZeniMax, I should say, and Activision Blizzard. They've added on like 20 studios, just like that. There's no catching up to that. It's just impossible for Sony to do that without also acquiring publishers, unfortunately. Yeah. That's where we're at. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. We haven't even talked about the indie side of this. Smaller studios are terrified right now of what's happening. They're going to be swallowed up. They're not going to be noticed. When Game Pass has 40 first-party studios releasing games on it, like 4 games a month coming out from first party, on Game Pass, you think anybody's going to be looking at these small indie titles for the most part? They're going to be drowned. And they know it too, and they all feel like, damn it, we're going to have to join these larger teams. We can't stay indie. We can't keep doing interesting, unique things. We're going to get swallowed up.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to end. By the end of this generation, I've said it, I'm calling it now, by the end of this generation, if we have 10 major publishers right now, that becomes 5 by the end of this generation.
You think cut in half?
Yeah, easily. When you take into account not just Xbox and PlayStation, when you take into account you got Tencent, and
Embracer Group.
Embracer, and you got Google, and
Google,
got Facebook,
and Amazon,
you got Amazon. Without a doubt, 10 becomes 5 easily by the end of this generation. Yeah. I saw Kyle Bossman said it. This acquisition sent the gaming industry back 20 years, is what he said. And I can't disagree. We're back to the days where if you want to play this, buy that. If you want to play this, buy that. Like we made so much progress towards multi-platform, cross-platform, and now over this generation with this consolidation, it's going to go right back to I've got to buy every single one of these if I want any of the franchises that I've been playing for 30 years. All these franchises that I've always played that were everywhere are now I got to buy the Xbox for this one. I got to buy Nintendo for that one. I got to buy PlayStation for this one. I got to get Facebook whatever for this one. Yeah, what I like about Tencent and Embracer is, we don't have to worry about them going exclusive to a platform unless Embracer and Tencent are like, you know what? We have so many IPs at this point. Why don't we create a console?
Yeah, I don't even want to think about that
possibility. It sucks. It absolutely sucks.
My favorite thing about this whole thing is that what's causing this whole thing is the one platform who was bitching and moaning this entire time about we can't have crossplay and this and that back in the day. And now look what's happening. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's why I don't trust them at all. Sorry, I don't care if it sounds like a fanboy. It's why I've never have believed the Phil Spencer.
You should never trust any businessman.
Nope. I don't understand.
Paul said it. We don't know these people. No. Everything they show to us is a facade.
Yeah.
We have no idea what Phil Spencer is like behind closed doors. I'd like to believe that he's a nice guy, and I do think he probably is a very nice guy.
I think he's a very nice guy.
But you don't typically get into those positions without being
aggressive,
somewhat sociopathic, in all honesty. If I'm being honest, you don't get to that level of power without being somewhat sociopathic. You have to be able to disconnect yourself from emotions when you're to that level, because you have to make very hard decisions. Yeah. You have to make decisions that are going to be shrewd. And that's a part of it. That's just a part of it. I don't fault them at all for it.
Nope.
But yeah, we don't know these people. Stop acting like you know these people.
Yeah, it's why I've just never liked the whole underdog Microsoft story part of it. It's just like, it's all going to come back and bite you in the ass.
I can't stand it, dude. I can't stand that at all.
And my thing is, it's all going to come back and bite everyone in the ass. I cannot wait. I cannot literally wait until Game Pass becomes like $40 a month, and it's this and that and everything like that, and people are gonna be like, well, why would the consumer? It's just gonna be like, nah, they don't give a fucking shit. Like,
Miss Mel, that might be the greatest compliment I've ever received in my entire life. Drew channeling Don Draper right now. I wish I could be half as sexy and confident as John Hamm / Don Draper. I would be on cloud 9. If I could be anywhere close. If I could be 10% the man that Don Draper is. Forget the infidelity. Obviously, that's not good. I don't want to be that. But otherwise, man, Don Draper is a legend. All right. Do you feel like we've kind of covered this?
Yeah, I think we did. I think we got all our emotions.
Let's go to the chat, actually. Let's give a moment here. This is a huge deal. Chat. Do you have any questions for us? If you want our opinion on something, if you want to take the conversation in a direction that we didn't think of, let's take at least 5 minutes here to allow the chat to steer the course of this conversation. They're holding companies. They just want that passive income. You little kids wanting to play games better get rich fast. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, Vince and I have a gaming PC, so we're in good shape when it comes to the Xbox side of things. I really have no need to buy an Xbox, and I don't have a problem with playing their games. I do at this point have a little bit of a reluctance to ever buy an Xbox console again, though. I'll be honest with you. It kind of has been like a reverse effect on me, where it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I know I'm supporting Xbox with every Xbox game I buy through PC. But still, it's like another level at this point to buy like their hardware for $400. I'm like, nah, I don't feel like I want to do that anymore.
I can get Game Pass for free on PC, and I still don't do it. Like, I honestly don't. I don't know why. There is just a straight up disconnect on like, I'm not feeding this machine. Please go away. You know, put it on Steam. Put it on Steam, Microsoft. Do it then. Let Valve take 30% of your Game Pass subs. Then I'll get it for you. I'll do that then.
Achievement Chris, can I be a guest? Never say never. I mean, Vince started off as a guest.
I did.
But I'd say like, yeah, I mean, it's a vetting process. You never know. I don't want to say yes or no, Achievement Chris. All I'll say is, you never know. Nine Fox. So what does Phil Spencer do behind the scenes? I think he plays a lot of games. I think he's definitely a big gamer. I think he's a huge gamer. He has to be, and I think he knows that. I think he needs to know games very well. And I like that about him, that he's a gamer. I don't think he sleeps. I'll say that.
He does not sleep.
I hate to say this because it sounds mean, but look at the appearance of Phil Spencer over the last decade.
Oh my God.
It's almost like he's been president of the United States. You know how like you look at somebody like Donald Trump or Obama when they started their tenure as president, and then you look at them 8 years later, it's like, holy shit, that clearly did a lot to them. Those 8 years of stress and anxiety. That's Phil Spencer. Like you could see that guy is just putting everything, his entire essence, his being has gone into this. And that's why Xbox is doing so well, is that guy is committed, but it's taken a toll on him. He's aged so much in 10 years. And it's like, thank you, Phil Spencer, for doing that. Thank you for giving it your all. But I do not think that guy sleeps very much. Like I can't imagine he does. He's a very busy man, and he's putting his heart and soul into Xbox. So good for him. It's a lot. Rick coming in with that tier 2 sub. We're actually not too far off of our 30-minute extension. Looks like we need 155 more nuts. So we're about halfway there towards 30-minute after show. Don't forget, guys, subs, tips, cheers, get you those nuts. This season's salty nuts, so that you can get 30 minutes extension or even 60 minutes extension if you guys want.
60 minutes.
Microsoft will have exclusive benefits with Call of Duty, for example, a survival mode exclusive to Xbox for just 1 year, similar to Call of Duty Modern Warfare Spec Ops. So you think they're going to keep it on PlayStation, but they'll do exclusivity for content? That's 100% a route that they could take. I could see it. I think just by the nature of it being free on Xbox, they have a huge marketing pull right there. The fact that if it still comes out on PlayStation, them being like, all right, spend $70 to get Call of Duty on PlayStation, or spend $15 a month to get Call of Duty and 600 other games. Like that's all they got to say really when it comes to trying to pull people over with Call of Duty. Going back a little bit here, I bought a Series S for the sheer reason that it was easier and cheaper than buying a new GPU. I mean, yeah, right now, God, GPUs are ridiculous. As a streamer, I was willing to, invest in new GPUs and buy that. I'm already ready for Xbox games, but yeah, I get what you're saying. King Kurt says they're going to buy Steam. Xbox is going to buy Steam?
Yeah.
Or PlayStation is going to buy Steam?
Xbox is going to buy Steam. No, actually, if they did that, that would get shut down, I would think, in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that goes through.
That's straight up anti-competition.
Yeah.
Especially with Valve being so Linux pro development. I don't think that would go through at all.
Yeah. Poland Light says, as a mostly PC gamer player, I just hate the idea of a future that's either full of subscriptions or cloud gaming. We're going to DRM hell. It's going to be one of those things where like I hate it and I love it at the same time. I'm going to hate that I love it. Is kind of what's going to happen. Because like I'm all digital now because of the convenience, for example, but I do love physical media, but it's like, no, the convenience was enough. But what's really going to be a bummer about the all digital streaming future and subscriptions is you're going to have a drop in quality. There's no way you're going to have game streaming look as visually impressive as native, rendering and all of that. It's just not possible. But the convenience is going to be so great that you're going to be like, all right, I guess I'll deal with, streaming 4K at this terrible bit rate because of the convenience of it. And it's like, oh, we're going to take like a huge step back in visual fidelity and IQ as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, we need the other platforms. just to go on a little small thing, if we're gonna get into a streaming thing, we need to see some major developments like with AV1 and things like that to actually make this to where like we don't actually have that fidelity loss. Because it's like for games, it's like you need the fidelity, you know.
Yeah. Poll Online thinks that he's a real gamer thing is a grift. You never know. Like as we said, you don't know these people behind closed doors. I hope that he's a gamer. I hope so. He used to be. Obviously, he was a developer and he rose through the ranks. I hope that he still plays a lot of games.
Yeah.
Like I know, like you could check these people's, accounts. You could, I think, certainly be paying a teenager to play games for them, but that seems like a lot of work, a lot of just kind of ridiculous thing to do. So you can kind of see what they're playing. King Kurt, you can say whatever and think what you want, but it's Microsoft's now, baby. We'll say. I guess you never know. I would hope that would get shut down. That seems like a big step too far, in my opinion.
Oh my God. I don't even want to talk about it.
You're also not going to be able to access your game files and mod anything, and it's going to be an input lag fest. That's true as well. Yeah, that's something I think about because I'm not in the mod scene, so I can't really say I care about that. But you're not wrong.
That's why I don't get Game Pass games.
Yeah,
they supposedly have changed it now, and they changed it for certain games. But for a while, it was like I'm not getting this, so I can't like mod something like Outer Worlds or whatnot on it. You know, it's like I can't do that. Mm-hmm. You know. That's what sucks.
Senpai says, I buy digital because I work a lot and don't have the time to go out and buy games. It's a great convenience, and I don't lose any visual fidelity. It's more expensive than if I were to like buy games and resell them and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the convenience is just too strong for me being digital. But that would mean a lot of people would need a fast internet, and not all gamers may be able to get it for a streaming future. So that's what we talked about earlier, Rose. I don't know if you heard that part, but that's why I'm a little surprised about Xbox being so gung-ho, let's get Game Pass on PlayStation, because it implies that they're already ready for the streaming future, the service subscription-based future. Because once they do that, there's no reason for anybody hardware-wise to buy Xbox over PlayStation. There really isn't. Like, no. What reason would there be to buy Xbox hardware over PlayStation hardware if Game Pass is on PlayStation?
Something like smart delivery?
Yeah, it would be such minuscule things.
You mean the thing that was never a huge thing to begin with?
Yeah, like it would be, there would be no reason. So it would imply at that point that they don't give a shit at all about hardware at that point, and that they are all subscription based. And we're not there yet from a streaming perspective. And stubbornness, Mel, yeah, I agree with that. Stubbornness, fanboyism. Maybe America is there in a large way. Even America isn't fully there yet, but a lot of countries are not even close to being able to handle an all streaming future. So I don't know if they're jumping the gun. They definitely did it with the Xbox One. You know, back then they jumped the gun. Are they still jumping the gun? We're obviously closer to that future, but I don't know that we're there yet. We'll see. All right, that is the massive discussion. We did spend about an hour and 20 minutes on it.
We did.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
We talked about it as much as I think we needed to. So let us take another commercial break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to get into our new seasonal segment, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope you guys in the chat get very involved with this new seasonal segment. So hold on tight. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Season 5, Episode 1 of Next Level Gamescast, a monthly gaming talk show live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Droogle on the fourth Sunday of every month. Make sure you never miss an episode. Hit that heart button here at twitch.tv/Droogle and turn on notifications. Get those alerts whenever I go live, typically Wednesdays and Sundays with variety gaming and talk shows. And once again, Vince on YouTube. He'll post a link in the chat. He's brand new there. He's transitioning from Twitch to YouTube. He needs that support. So please go to YouTube and give him that subscription. If you're watching the episode on YouTube on our channel, I hope you also hit that subscribe button. We do upload these typically as an archive. And lastly, we have our great Discord at discord.gg/Droogle, a great way to be a part of the community even when we are not live. I'm going to move on now to our seasonal segment. But before we get into the new seasonal segment, we did not have an episode in December, so we did not get an opportunity to acknowledge the great question of the month answer from Evil Resonance. The question was, Happy Holidays. What is your best/favorite holiday present that you've ever received and or gifted? Why have these gifts in particular stuck with you? And here's what Evil Resonance wrote. Me and the holidays don't usually go together, and I rarely celebrate Christmas as well. However, there was one particular Christmas that meant a lot to not only me, but one of my best friends. The best part is that we met through Final Fantasy XI, and so throughout our hundreds and thousands of hours of adventuring together, we learned a lot about each other and knew each other's wants and goals in life. For her, it was to start a family, and she tried many times. Fortunately, this one year, she was able to conceive, and I couldn't have been more happy for her. Caught up in all the joy, I crafted probably the most elaborate gift I've ever made. I built a custom-made wooden box with a lock. The lock had 3 dials with numbers for each dial. To go with these locks, I created 4 puzzles, each puzzle with a numbered answer that would be part of the combination for the lock. The 4th puzzle would give the order of the numbers. I filled the box with a bunch of toys, plushies, and clothing that a baby would like, as well as some gifts for my friend and things she would need for the baby. I then wrote a handwritten letter to her telling her that adventuring with her was one of the most fun I've had, not only in a game, but fun anytime in my life. And she would always be my partner in crime. I would always be there for her if she wanted to go on another quest, but she was going on the greatest adventure she would ever embark on, parenthood. Just a little something to lighten the mood. The cost of shipping a heavy custom-made chest filled with gifts came to just over $80. However, the joy I could tell from when she opened the present was priceless. Beautiful.
So beautiful.
Any girl would be lucky to have you, Resonance. That's what I would say.
Oh my God.
That's an amazing gift.
Resonance, I was crying at 3:30 this morning. Stop making me cry.
Perfect score is right. Let's add to Evil Resonance's sack with 1,000 salty nuts. That sack just got a lot heavier.
Yes, it did.
Resonance. That was very sweet. That was very, very sweet. I appreciate that.
Very good.
And now we can move on to our new seasonal segment, which will span the entirety of Season 5.
Ooh.
There's a little bit of a damper on it with recent news, but we really want to talk about PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. We feel like it deserves a second chance, and it's our goal to draft the perfect PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale 2 roster. Each month is going to focus on a different category. Number 1 this month, we are going to look at the characters from the original game. And we're going to choose 12 characters that we think need to come over to the sequel. You ready to do this, Vince?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
First, let's announce all of the characters, including the DLC characters, that were in the original PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Kratos, Parappa the Rapper, Fat Princess, Sweet Tooth, Colonel Raddick, Sly Cooper, Nathan Drake, Cole McGrath, Evil Cole McGrath, Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, Big Daddy, Dante, and that's the not
DMCA.
Dante. Yeah, DMCA, yeah. Like, didn't they have a name for him that was like a clever, like not Dante, but like Dante? I don't know. I can't remember.
I don't know.
I don't even remember. Heihachi Mishima, Nariko from Heavenly Sword, Raiden, not Snake, Raiden from Metal Gear Solid, Sackboy, Sir Daniel Fortescue from Medieval, Spike from Ape Escape, Taro Inoue, which is the mascot in Japan for PlayStation, Cat and Dusty, which is the main character from Gravity Rush and her cat, Emmett Graves, which, what a pull. That's from Starhawk, a game that nobody played, Zeus. These were the actually DLC characters. Emmett Graves, Zeus from God of War, and finally Isaac Clarke was pulled from Dead Space as the final DLC character. No, I know his name was Dante. I just thought that like fans had some goofy, clever name for him that like was a play on words. It not being their Dante. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm gonna let you take the floor first here. I think we'll go back and forth here, Vince. Of this list, the first one, and we'll highlight them as we go along. The first one that absolutely needs to come over.
Kratos, 100%.
I agree, 100%.
Oh my God,
Kratos, I think, is the face of PlayStation right now. I would argue. I think Kratos is the face of PlayStation. So we're not even going to take any time there. Now, let's talk a little bit about which Kratos, though. Is it skins, or do we actually focus on a specific Kratos? Because it would be a completely different gameplay style if you change them. One's Leviathan Axe, one of them is Blades of Chaos.
But you also use Blades of Chaos so you could, I mean, if you did a hybrid, I think you could do that. So I think you go with 2018. I think you go Norse.
I agree. I think you do as well.
It's more fun from a gameplay perspective.
God of War has never been as big as it is now.
Right.
And that's partially because of the rebranding, whatever you want to call it. So I highlighted that wrong, didn't I? Let me do this.
Just made it yellow, which I can't see.
That's better. Okay. So Kratos would come over. It would be Norse Kratos. He would have the Leviathan axe, and he would have the Blades of Chaos. Okay. Yeah. Next up, I agree with Rick. I think Nathan Drake is the next one I would say has to come over.
I would agree as well.
I think Nathan Drake was in the original, as we know, but I think you have a lot of fun in skins right off the bat. You could have older Nathan Drake. You can have the younger Nathan Drake. You have Tom Holland Nathan Drake. You
can have Goofy Drake,
Yeah, you get a Donut Drake.
Yep.
I think with in the addition of 4, with him having the swing and everything, you can maybe have some cool mechanics, especially if they go platform, fighter, which we'll talk about. We're going to talk about what style of fighter we want this to be. But if it's a platform fighter, then you got him swinging maybe.
Yep.
Stuff like that. I think you could utilize him in a great way. Back to you, Vince. Number 3. Who's coming over?
I would say Ratchet and Clank for number 3.
Yeah.
I mean, again, another big tentpole franchise, I think. And again, just had recent success. So,
and I think to continue, I think that the platformer mascots, I think all of them. Let's just knock them off. I think Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, and Sly Cooper. I think all 3 of them stay. And you've got so much to play with them. And I did it again. I think I think Sly Cooper will come back around. I think he's in the works right now.
Yep.
Would be my guess. So I think they're going to revitalize that. Jak and Daxter, probably not. I don't know that that's going to ever come back. I wish it would. I wish Jak and Daxter would come back.
Well, hey, maybe if Naughty Dog, with them doing this big expansion team, maybe that's also partly another thing that they're going to start doing with some more alternative deliveries. They're going to have, hey, we're going to grab 60 people from this core group, make a small Jak and Daxter, whatever, adventure. That could be a thing. That's always on the card, especially in this day and age.
Yeah. Okay. Next up. Sackboy.
Yep. Nope. Mascot. I think it's perfect.
I think here's the thing. We're going to get into the second episode. The second episode is going to be about who we want to bring over. That would be brand new. And I do think Astro, without a doubt, needs to be a part of this. Do you think that they cannibalize each other a little bit? Or you think that's okay?
I don't think they cannibalize each other, to be honest. It would be like saying like Kirby and Jigglypuff would cannibalize each other in Smash. It's a little bit of a different thing there going on.
Yeah.
So I think it's totally fine. I think what's cool about like Sackboy is you can have like more like the play. You can have like all the play create stuff, or if you look at the more of the recent thing with Sackboy Big Adventure, you could have like more of that type of mechanic in with it.
Or even like Sackboy karting, like he gets into a car and
exactly.
like drives into the enemy. Like, yeah, I think there's a lot of versatility with Sackboy without a doubt, and he or Astro could really be the Kirby of the group in that he sucks in like the appearance of one of the characters. I think Astro actually makes even more sense for that though. We'll talk about next month.
Yeah.
But I think once we get to it, I think Astro will be the Kirby of the group. Yeah. Okay, so I say Sackboy. Who do you got? Who's next for you?
Ooh, this is where it starts getting a little tough for me. I kind of want to say Spike, but at the same time,
Ape Escape fans are diehard.
That's the thing. It's one of those it's a throwaway. I shouldn't say throwaway. It's a line out there to grab that very fervent fan base.
I feel like your starting 12, what we're talking about here, are like the legacy characters, right? We want to grab the characters that really show where PlayStation came from. PlayStation. I sound like Jim Carrey from Cable Guy there. Yeah, so I think I get why you would say Spike, because that is very legacy.
Who are you thinking of right now?
I'm thinking, again, legacy-wise, either Sweet Tooth or Parappa. I would say Sweet Tooth, actually, because I do think one of the things that PlayStation shouldn't shy away from is the more gritty side of things, which could, separate it from like a Smash Bros. I think they need to have a very cohesive art style, without a doubt. Something that they didn't quite perfect, in my opinion, on the first game. There needs to be a very cohesive art style, but I do think that having somebody like Sweet Tooth opens up that door of like, okay, we can have darker, more mature characters in this. I think Kratos does too, but I think Sweet Tooth goes to like another level.
Yeah.
So I would say Sweet Tooth actually is my next one.
Okay, I can agree with that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 right now.
Yeah.
It looks like
5 more.
5 more.
Let me read off the ones that we have left real quick. Of the ones we have left, Parappa the Rapper, Fat Princess, Colonel Raddick, Cole McGrath, Evil Cole McGrath, Big Daddy, Dante, Heihachi Mishima, Nariko, Raiden, Sir Daniel, Spike, Toro, Kat, Emmett, Zeus, and Isaac. No to Isaac Clarke. I say no.
Yeah, Isaac doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't like, no. This is PlayStation.
Same
You got
thing
plenty
with,
of characters that are important to PlayStation.
same
Isaac's
thing,
not.
Yeah, same thing with Big Daddy for me. I don't know.
We'll get the guest characters, Rick. We will get the guest characters, but I don't think Isaac Clarke's one of them.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, part of me wants to say Raiden, but at the same time, like, really?
Nope.
Raiden? Like, it's
Nope.
like, nah.
Nope. We are getting Solid Snake is what we're doing. We'll talk about it in another month. We are getting Solid Snake. I'm not fucking standing for this again. We are getting Cloud. We are getting fucking Solid Snake. Like, the ridiculousness of not having them in this first game is already too much for me to handle 10 years later. So I'm not even going to allow you to say Raiden because it's not happening. Snake is happening.
Well, if we're going for more legacy again, you know what? Do we go with Parappa the Rapper?
I think so. I think also it's like quirky. He's like almost like Paper Mario in that way, like where he's like he's flat, and
Yeah.
I think getting like those wildly different art styles. That's kind of the point, right? It's this merging of so many different elements and art styles, and I think Parappa the Rapper is one of the best examples of that.
Okay.
Yeah. This is getting tough now.
I'm
gonna go with you. I think Spike should be in here.
Yeah, like it's going down to that point. Yeah.
So who is a PlayStation exclusive character? Dante? Dante was at one point. I would agree. I think Dante is much more a part of PlayStation's legacy than Isaac Clarke. Right? I mean,
yeah, no, I agree with you. So
Solid Snake, Final Fantasy VII characters like Cloud, Sephiroth, Dante, Lara Croft, even when we get to that, like those characters are attached to the history of PlayStation because they were synonymous with the platform at one point.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm focused on. We will get the guest characters. We will get there, and that's important. You want to bring from other pools. But right now, I think at the beginning, like this 12, I think we're trying to focus on legacy characters. So I think Spike should be one of them.
I think Spike should be one of them too.
As I do think Sir Daniel should be one of them.
Yeah.
I guess one thing we should decide right now, are we limiting ourselves in how many we're allowed to ultimately pull? Like, let's say we do 12 this month for original characters coming back. Let's say we do 12 next month for brand new characters that were never a part of PlayStation All-Stars. And then the final month, maybe we do like 12 DLC characters for 36 in total.
Yeah, no,
that's a lot of characters. I think
it's a lot of characters, and but it makes sense though, because like look what Smash has done. Yeah, I think we do that. So sit down, Rick. You're gonna get your Isaac here soon.
Stand down.
Trust me, man. I will make sure we get you. We'll get you your Isaac. All right.
I think in the DLC month we could bring in like a Dante or an Isaac Clarke. I'm not gonna keep that out of that month, but I think this month is only characters that come back, and next month is characters that were never a part of PlayStation All-Stars. So next month, no Isaac Clarke either. It'll be characters that were never a part of PlayStation All-Stars. So be ready for next month as well. And they won't be all Final Fantasy, but there are some Final Fantasy characters that should be in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. It is something that should have happened originally as well. This is our draft. Stand down, Rick. Stand down. All right. So we've got Kratos, Sweet Tooth, Sly Cooper, Nathan Drake, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sackboy, Spike, and Sir Daniel. We have, I think, 3 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 3 more. I think Cole McGrath should be there, maybe, but I think he should not be 2 characters.
Yeah, no.
I think he should be able to switch on the
consolidate.
fly. I think it'd be cool if he was like that kind of character where like he can switch between evil and good.
Or based off how you're fighting is how he
Yeah,
switches
like I
off
don't
from
know,
evil or
like
good. Like
almost like stances. Like I think he should be like
Yeah.
switch stances. Not that everything's in his repertoire at all moments. Like he has to switch stance.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like maybe like good version of him is like not as powerful, but like it's able to take more damage. But then like evil version of him is like like so much power, but you also can get thrown across the room really quickly.
Wait, you want Delsin, Rick? Oof, I don't know. Delsin sucks.
Well, I think Delson is more interesting from a movement
Yeah, but that's
standpoint.
only within Infamous. They could do whatever they want with Cole in PlayStation All-Stars. They could expand his moveset and make him feel great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Infamous brand here is kind of weird for me because it's just like I don't know. Because let's see, if you're doing this, we had electric, and then if you were good, you had ice, and if you were bad, you had what? Was it fire? In Infamous 2?
That's the thing. He's not just lightning. In 2, Cole had 3 powers, right? He had ice and he also had fire.
It depended if you were good or evil.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. Allow him to switch back and forth. So when he's good, he's electric and ice, and when he's bad, he's fire and nega energy or some shit. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like he could have multiple power sets and elements and stuff.
Yeah. Guys, we're talking about bringing characters back from the original roster.
Come back next month, though.
Next month.
For what you're talking about.
Is when we're going to be doing all the stuff that you guys keep suggesting.
Yeah. We'll get to the ones that weren't a part of the original. We're trying to think of who should be brought back right now. 12 in total. And honestly, it's getting tough. I think personally, I think Cole McGrath would be fine if you allow him to have all the powers he had throughout 1 and 2. Maybe Delsin comes in as DLC. Or maybe we do like what Smash did with their what was their thing where they weren't like actual characters, but they were like,
oh god, I don't know, like the sprites or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Assist characters. I'm sorry, assist characters. Ugh.
Maybe Astro can dress up as Delsin.
Oh my god. Are you trying to piss off Rick?
But he has the moveset. He has the moveset when he becomes Delsin. We'll have to discuss that.
We will.
All right, we're up to 10. We've added on Cole McGrath. We have 2 more. And
so bad at this.
There are just not a lot of good characters in the original roster.
No, and that was the problem with the original.
Oh wait, we have 11. We need one more. Parap the Rapper.
Oh,
we only have one more. All right, we can do this.
So here's a question. Here's one more. What I think: is it Toro or is it Cat and Dusty?
Cat and Dusty would be a very fan servicey move for sure. People that love Gravity Rush, that's a niche audience, but they really love it. All right, so hold on a sec. We have Kratos, Parappa, Sweet Tooth, Sly Cooper, Nathan Drake, Cole McGrath, Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter, Sackboy, Sir Daniel, Spike. Crash Bandicoot could come in next month, but we're going to talk about the the problems involved with that now too next month. So who we have left is Fat Princess, Colonel Radek, Big Daddy, Dante, Heihachi Mishima, Noriko, Raiden, Toro, Kat, Emmett, Zeus, and Isaac. Here's the thing, the caveat to this. I'm not opposed to bringing Dante in, but it would have to be OG Dante. Like the Dante that like originated on PlayStation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still feel like Dante is very strongly associated with PlayStation.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like you're also kind of having to do, that's more just guest character, coming back, or DLC character coming back, because like it's changed so much. Because then you have V, then you also have Virgil, you also have...
we don't have to bring any of those guys in.
Shit, what's his name?
Why am I drawing a blank? Virgil could be a skin for Dante. He'll have the same moveset, but he can be a skin.
Oh my god, who is the main character now? Who am I forgetting?
Oh, Nero.
Nero, thank you, Jesus.
Fake fan.
Wow, I was having a hard time there. I was like, who the hell is this guy's name? Jesus. I'm sorry, everyone.
I'm not a Devil May Cry fan, so yeah, you're good.
Guys, it's totally fine. I mean, it's not really truly a fake fan, but trust me, I'll take the hit on the reputation. It's totally fine. Like I was like, what is
I'm
his
saying
name?
I'm not saying Virgil is like Dante. I'm saying just have a Virgil skin, but just have him have the same moveset as Dante, so that you at least have Virgil's skin. You know.
Yeah, I mean it's not the same character.
Just so he's not. It's not the same thing, but at least his skin would be there. How's he gonna be a skin?
I feel like Rick has like a blood vessel like ready to pop right now.
Literally just the exact same animations, but he looks like Virgil. That's all I'm saying.
Chris, we will be talking about that next month. All right, we're doing original characters from the original game right now.
He's so butthurt right now. It's okay. It's okay, Rick. We're gonna get through this. I do think my vote is for Dante. OG Dante. I feel for like the cat fans out there, but I mean it's such a small audience, and like it was like really just like a Vita game. I know it came to the other platform eventually, but like it's Vita is death. All right.
Jesus. Here's my thing. I don't like how we're changing like the rules here a little bit with Dante. Like saying, "No, we're gonna bring the OG character back." Then it's like I kind of want Raiden.
No, we're doing the same thing with Kratos. We're not bringing back OG Kratos. We're saying, we're bringing back Kratos, but he's going to be Norse Kratos. So it's not like we're doing anything different than what we did earlier.
Oh man, I don't know. Because like, let's think about. Wait. Time out. Hold up. I'm just trying to think. So Kratos is definitely like more melee. He's going to have a short and mid-range along with an occasional long range. Parappa, I honestly don't remember the character enough to where like I kind of don't remember. Sweet Tooth, I'm thinking bulky, heavy. He's going to have the chainsaw.
Yep.
Very
same
heavy.
as the original.
Yeah. Right. I'm just trying to say this out loud with like
Dante.
This is how the game is.
We need like a swordsman like Dante. Sir Daniel is a slow swordsman. Remember, very slow. Dante would be our fast swordsman.
Okay.
What would Cat be?
Cat would be, in my mind, again, I can't remember this game, and I'm sorry. Maybe I should have done my homework.
Should like go upside down on like the platforms? Like
well, no, I think that's actually a thing. Cause like that would actually be kind of cool. Like since she can control the gravity, she would be like a harder character control. But like if you want to be one of those things that you learn how to do, it would be cool. I think. Like think about it, she'd be more like the floaty kind of like, lack of a better way to describe it would be kind of more. I'm thinking like.
But if nobody else can fly, like how do you even fight her? Just like flying around, you have all these characters jumping trying to hit her.
She's not flying around. Like she's not like, oh, I'm just gonna float around here in the corner of the map and be like, ha ha ha, you can't get me. It's not what's happening here. That's not. No, she would have to rely on the gravity rush aspect of it. You know, where you in that game you point and you go, and you're kind of committed to that direction. You know, that's where her mechanic's gonna be. She's gonna be doing that, but again, it's also harder to control that way. That's what I'm visualizing right now.
Okay, let's go through it here. As we know what Kratos would be. Parappa, I'll come back to because I'm not actually sure on that one. Sweet Tooth is our heavy. Sly Cooper, he's got the cane. He's definitely melee. What would be interesting about Sly Cooper?
Well, you got to think he's going to have the cane is what lets him kind of have a little bit more mobility around there. He's going to have the double jump. You know, he could maybe pickpocket.
They're all going to have double
characters.
Jumps,
he could pickpocket, so he kind of would almost be like a Kirby type deal. Where like maybe he could pickpocket like a weapon or like some sort of item from a character, and he could use that against them. Like so, like say like if he would pickpocket like Drake's grapple hook, he can like throw the grapple hook at Drake and like throw him out, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
Pickpockets Ratchet and Clank's the Omni Wrench, you know. Sly Flew playing.
That's good.
Guys,
yeah,
I'm sorry. It's been so long since I've played this game, and I apologize.
That's a good addition to flying the plane thing. That could be cool. Nathan Drake, I think we got plenty with. Like his mobility would be really cool. Climbing, swinging. He's got the gun, but he also has like the fisticuffs melee. So I think we know what Nathan's going to be. Cole is all about powers. He's going to be our one that has multiple stance switches. Lots of area attacks and things like that. Ratchet and Clank is our shooter, one of our shooters. Cole kind of could be too, though. I kind of wonder if we want to limit Cole in that way, where he can't like fire off like he does in the game, because both Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter, unless we go with, that's a good question. Jak and Daxter, do we go with like OG Jak and Daxter, so they're like platforming melee, or do we allow Jak and Daxter to have guns?
I think we need to have guns because we actually have a lot of melee characters here.
Ratchet and Clank would obviously be guns.
Yeah, I think we need to let Jak and Daxter be guns.
Okay, so Ratchet and Jak, both gun heavy. Do we want Cole to also be, which is essentially gun heavy, because he shoots off the bullets of electricity?
I don't think he's going to be gun heavy. I think for what I'm imagining more is more AoE.
I agree. That's what I'm imagining too for him. I think he needs to be limited in his projectile maneuvers a little bit to keep him balanced. Sackboy is manifesting objects. He's like building things and they fall down, or like things like that is what I imagine for Sackboy. Right?
Right. Nope. I agree with that.
Yeah. Sir Daniel is our slow swordsman. Heavier attacks, but slower swordsman. And Dante would be our fast swordsman if we go that way. Spike. What is Spike?
So Spike would definitely be more... He's got the net. He's got kind of the other little gadgets too that you could use. God, it's been so long. I did not do well with this assignment.
Well, Ape Escape is not a franchise I was ever really into, honestly. Spike is a wasted slot. What did he do in the original?
He collected apes. You know.
No, I mean in the original PlayStation All Stars. Like, what was his combat? Because I can't disagree with Rick right now that Spike is great as a legacy character, but I'm having a hard time seeing how he fits in from a combat perspective.
Oh, didn't he summon monkeys?
That's what I'm wondering, if he's like the Pokemon like type
like
character
the Pokemon
where he like throws
trainer.
a Pokeball and something comes out, you know, like
freaking Rick.
he had a melee object, right? Didn't he? Like a net or something.
Well, I was gonna say the net. I think he does the net thing to where like he would hit someone with it.
But all he can summon are monkeys.
They're monkeys though, but
like,
the monkeys can be anything.
Real fast.
The monkeys can be anything though. They can fly planes. They could do submarines. They can solve world hunger. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a little torn on Spike now. I appreciate the legacy of Spike,
well,
but I'm wondering if we replace Spike with Cat.
Okay. Let's take Spike
Dante
out.
and Cat.
We'll do Cat. There we go. Compromise as of right now. That way the assignment's done.
I think for a combat perspective, I think that's the way to go.
There we go. So there we go.
Cat adds another layer for sure. I don't know exactly what people do in response to her flying, but I guess having a lot of gun characters is going to be important to shoot her while she's flying around. Shoot her ass down.
I love the context of this conversation. Yeah, we've seen someone to shoot her down.
Shoot her ass down. All right, I keep doing this. My God.
Oh my God. Why was that so difficult?
I don't know why that was so difficult. Okay. So I think we figured out our characters, at least from the original. Here they are, you guys. Kratos, Parappa the Rapper, Sweet Tooth, Sly Cooper, Nathan Drake, Cole McGrath, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, OG Dante, Sackboy, Sir Daniel Fortescue, and Cat, along with her cat sidekick, Dusty. I think that's the best you're going to get from the OG roster, which is kind of crazy that we struggled to get 12 out of it. That's how bad the original roster was.
Yeah, it's... Wow. You put it in that perspective, it's like, oof.
Yeah.
This is rough.
Yeah. That includes DLC characters, too. The original roster was rough. Okay, now, before we wrap this up, are we doing a platformer fighter here?
You know, I think so. But I think what I want to do is I want to do a wide platformer fighter. I want to do something different. So, like, I want it to be like to where, like, instead of being like the base design is like more around 4, which is what most of these platform fighters are. They're mostly designed around 4. I want it to be designed more around 6.
Ooh, okay.
Because I want it to be... They have
the bigger battlefield.
That's
for sure.
What I want, because I want us to have options for these characters to actually kind of have room to breathe and do their own thing and feel unique. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want level design to be a little bit more like 3-tiered, 3 to 4-tiered, actually. Some good verticality here. I don't think we get that a lot in a lot of platform fighters. We get some unique stages for sure, but I don't know. That's what my logic is. What do you think?
I agree that it should be a platformer fighter.
Okay.
But as you just said, there's got to be something that separates it from Smash, and maybe it is that there's up to 6. You can do battles with 6. Because I don't think you even have that option in Smash, right? The most you can do is 4.
I wanted to say I think it's just 4, but I want to make sure here real quick.
But is there anything else that makes it unique or different? Are we doing like percentage health bars, like in the same way Smash does? Like the original PlayStation All-Stars, what they tried to do different, which I don't think worked, was that the only way to take out an enemy in their life was to use like one of your supers. So you had to build up your super and use it.
From what I understand, from what I can see here, it looks like Smash is 8 players.
You can have 8 players on a battlefield in Smash?
For up to 8 players, for up to 8 players.
So this really doesn't separate it at all then.
So I'm sorry. 8-player Smash is a separate game mode. The base game mode is 4. But there is a separate game mode for 8, it looks like.
That was the other thing I was going to bring up is what Rick just said. What if you were to do team style?
So that would be to where like you would pick like 2 characters, right?
And then you could swap them in and out. Yeah.
Well,
that's what I assume you mean, right, Rick? Where you have like a tag team, where it's like, oh, I tag my partner in, and like you switch off.
That's kind of how you can fill your combos into.
And in that way, you can have up to 8. You have 4 teams, 4 tag teams.
I kind of like that. I like that, and then plus it also lets us have it to where when we build out more characters, it would make sense to have up to like 36 characters or whatnot. There's a good combination.
You need a lot of characters, yeah.
But it's also cool. You can actually make a cool combination. Like, do you have the original like trio mascot? Do you have like Sly Cooper and Ratchet and Clank together and what? Like, that's some cool stuff. I like that.
So what was Power Stone style? Because I never played Power Stone.
So, Resonance, you might have to explain it as well. But from what I remember, that was like, it wasn't top down, but it was kind of top down, and it was more like a 3D arena that you could run around, and like you would fight, and there's like environment interactivity and everything like that. That's what I remember. It was a little bit. It's like a unique perspective. It's like almost isometric, but it's not isometric. Yeah, it's a 3D arena fighter.
Looks like my timer did not start tonight. Let me fix that.
So that could be a very unique thing because I don't think anyone does that now.
Anybody does what?
The 3D arena, like that type of fighting style.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do that anymore because it's very much a lot of platform now, or straight up like regular fighting.
All right, there we go. We got about 36 minutes left on the timer, you guys. Don't forget, subs, tips, cheers could extend the stream, give us some more time in post-show. I think we got a good thing going here. The other things I'm wondering about are like the health bars and shit like that. If we want to like just ape Smash Bros to that extent in the same way that Nickelodeon did.
I have an idea. What if we made this a poll for the Discord and they voted on that?
Mm-hmm.
Could be something that you guys could do, like say like,
so that for next month, like we're ready to go with like what we know this is going to be.
Right, but we're leaving that up to the community to kind of figure out. Like,
yeah,
we could also see all the tears and suffering and everything like that happens in that chat.
I do think that we got a good idea with the 8 characters, 4 teams of 2. I think that's a good twist right off the bat. Larger arenas as a result of that. Platformer still can fall off and all that. Especially want to have that with characters like Kat and Nathan, and I think there's a lot of versatility there.
I agree.
I'm just writing down the 3 or more FF characters rule for Isaac. I mean, right off the bat, I do think Cloud and Sephiroth should be there. So I'm gonna tell you 2 right there. I think that's it though. Honestly, I think Cloud and Sephiroth are the ones I think should be there.
I mean, I want my Warrior of Light from 14. So.
Screw you.
Ooh, that them fighting words there, kid. We'll see what happens.
I do think just those 2. That's all I want. I just want Cloud and Sephiroth. I think they should be there. But anyway, so arenas. Any ideas there?
Like for stages?
Yeah.
So wait, we're deciding this is a platformer, like a platform fighter?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
I don't give a shit about Smash. Let me just say real quick. Smash does not factor into this conversation whatsoever. We will steal whatever we want from Smash. They got everything under the sun. There's nothing you can say that wasn't already stolen by Smash. They got Snake. They got Cloud. They got Sephiroth. They got Sora. These are characters that were 100% synonymous with PlayStation. I don't give a shit that Smash got them. Screw that. All right. Go ahead, Vince.
No, I'm like, oh, they're fighting. I don't want to interrupt that. Mom and Dad, they're fighting.
They got Steve. Damn it.
Okay, so let's think about that. So I think a cool stage would be Lake of the Nine from God of War. That's personally what I think. I think you could actually the Lake of Nine.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about that is we're still doing a platformer, right? But I still think we allow environmental shifts to happen. Not like what Smash Ultimate does, where it like shifts over to a new stage. It would be like to where like the bridge itself moves, to where like the scenery just kind of changes up a little bit.
I mean, having like the snake come into play would be freaking awesome.
Yeah, like that would be cool. I'm trying to think of like other things. Sackboy's like inspired stage could still be that platformer, but it could be kind of like a little big planet level where it's kind of like moving this way, like, you know, and you kind of have to keep moving through the obstacles, and it just is kind of creating as it goes. You know, it could have a lot of fun music. Cat and
I think it'd be cool if like for Twisted Metal, like imagine that you're like on a platform and it's almost like a game show in the background instead, where it's like Twisted Metal and like all these like vehicles are trying to like win, but it's like kind of like the Running Man, where it literally is like it's a to the death show that's happening in the background, and you're kind of like witnessing that, and maybe like the cars can like screech by, and maybe they even can hit the characters if you don't jump above them or something like that, or things like that. Could be environmental hazards.
Yeah,
Twisted Metal could be kind of cool. Maybe like buildings are falling down in the background or some shit because like so much destruction is going on, changing the environment.
Yeah, and we're talking about changing the environment. Ratchet and Clank, we have dimension hopping. We could do that now. Yeah. That could actually be for a fun gag too. That actually can also tie in to like all the stages. Like there's a different perspective in the Ratchet and Clank stage to where like, oh, it's that map, but it's on a different part of the map, you know? Yeah. That could be a cool way to tie that all together.
Yeah. I think also you don't want to limit yourself to only having stages for the characters that are in the game. There's so many PlayStation IPs. Just because that a specific character isn't in the game from that IP doesn't mean you can't use an environment from that game. That's, you know, a PlayStation legacy environment or something like that. You know what I mean? No, so I think we need to keep that in mind. Maybe we'll discuss that a little bit more next month. I feel like we made good progress here.
Yeah, we did.
Compromises were made.
Rick's blood vessel, I think, hopefully has subsided.
No Delson.
Not yet.
Not yet. We'll see. Maybe DLC. Maybe. We'll see. I'll consider it. All right. Let's move on, you guys. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to try and do it. I was going to do the animation for Speedrun, but I'm a little nervous it's going to send me back to my non-4K format and completely destroy the stream.
Oh, no.
So let's just say, guys, it's time to get into those smaller stories we have every month in what we call the Speedrun. Also known as the Rapid Fire News Roundup, aka. All right, so we have some good stories here. Let's start off with E3. The physical in-person event has been canceled.
It's done.
It's donezo. Once again, another year of no physical E3. But on top of that, we might not have a digital show either this year. This comes courtesy, I think, of Jeff Grubb. Well, first off, let's start with the physical thing. Quote, due to the ongoing health risks surrounding COVID-19 and its potential impact on the safety of exhibitors, E3 will not be held in person in 2022. We remain incredibly excited about the future of E3. But then it was Jason Schreier who wrote via Bloomberg, the Entertainment Software Association, which organizes the conference, didn't say whether it will hold an online event this year. Mike Futter, an analyst at F Squared, said the demise of this year's show was months in the making and likely driven by a lack of support from game publishers. Jeff Grubb on TikTok posted on the 17th that the digital event seems to have been canceled as well. Oof.
Crazy.
dead, you guys.
Man, Sony was really ahead of the curve on that one.
Yeah. I still feel like it might be a blessing in disguise. Like, if you're going to come back, do it right. Come back on a year where everybody wants to be involved and in person. Make it the bombastic E3 it used to be. I think that's the only way you bring it back and get people attached to it. is that nostalgia of what E3 used to be. If you come back with like some lackluster digital event, you're just going to be furthering the death. You're just going to be digging the hole deeper, burying yourself in it. Time to move on. Ubisoft Plus is coming to Xbox. Announced via Twitter with no date. Ubisoft Plus gives subscribers access to all of the Ubisoft games and usually the Ultimate Gold edition of games. A follow-up statement from Ubisoft on its original announcement said Ubisoft Plus will not be a part of GPU at this time. Quote, hey, Ubisoft Plus will be a separate subscription from Game Pass, but keep an eye out on more news and launch dates. This is a very expensive service, so I mean, I would have been shocked if it was included with Game Pass. Isn't this like $180 a year on its own?
$14.99 for just the basic plan of it, and then you do $17.99 if you want Google Stadia or Luna, like support with that, which I think is kind of cool. You pay $2 more, so that means you can have your account linked all the way through. But yeah, $14.99 a month.
Yeah, never say never. I'm sure they'll work out some weird Ubisoft deal.
Probably
like a month free or something. Speaking of Ubisoft, Skull and Bones Associate Director has left the project. Antoine Henry, who has worked on the project across 2 stretches since 2014, posted on his LinkedIn that he has left the company after 15 years. Quote, goodbye, Ubisoft. Goodbye. After nearly 15 years, today was my last day. I'm thankful for the people I've met and what they brought me professionally and personally. Hopefully, I was able to give back a little. On to a new, exciting adventures very soon. This is another turbulent development in a title that has been stuck in development hell. The project was rebooted again in 2020 with a shakeup in staffing.
It's crazy.
They're committed to this game coming out, though, which is kind of crazy.
Well, like I said, all rumors right now point to that being an agreement with the Singaporean. Is that the correct way of saying that? Government or the Singapore government?
I would just say Singapore. The Singaporean.
Yeah, I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Sorry, my bad. But yeah, there seems to be an agreement there with how whenever Ubisoft made a development studio there in Singapore and got grants from the government, like this project has to come out at some point. I think it's cool that they're not just rushing out the door. They seem to be wanting to make a product here, but we'll see what happens.
Bad news. Very bad news, but understandable. Final Fantasy 16 has technically been delayed internally. It never had a date, so this isn't a true delay, but it's been delayed internally. This came from a statement from Naoki Yoshida on December 27th. Quote, greetings, everyone. When last we spoke, I promised I would have even more information on Final Fantasy 16 sometime later in 2021. However, I regret to inform you that I will be unable to keep that promise as complications stemming from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic have delayed the game's development by almost half a year. Oof. As the latest addition to the Final Fantasy series being developed for the PlayStation 5, Final Fantasy 16 has amassed a sizable team composed of talented creators from around the world. However, in an effort to offset the effects of COVID-19, we had to decentralize that workforce by permitting staff to tackle their assignments from home. This has unfortunately hampered communication from the Tokyo office, which in turn has led to delays or in extreme cases cancellations of asset deliveries from our outsourced partners. That said, we have spent much of 2021 addressing this issue and hope to see its impact to a minimum by the new year, allowing us to better focus on the tasks at hand, increasing graphic resource quality, refining combat mechanics, flashing out individual battles, putting the finishing touches on cutscenes, and conducting overall graphical optimization. Our primary goal now is to be as hands-on with the game as possible in order to see it fully polished. So that leaves with the question, when can we expect the next round of information? Well, I'm happy to announce that the current plan is to conduct our next big reveal in spring 2022 as we seek to build excitement leading up to the game's eventual release. I deeply apologize to all those who have been looking forward to learning more about Final Fantasy 16, and thank you for your continued patience while we focus our combined efforts on development.
Trust Yoshi P.
Yes, 100%. Who cares? Delay it as much as you need. If you can delay it a year, delay it a year. I mean, what's good news here is everything they say they're working on is pretty much graphical.
Yeah.
This game is probably playable from start to finish. I would imagine. They can play this game from start to finish. They are in polishing. They want this game to look great. I have a feeling that original reveal and how a lot of the audience reacted with, really? Like, that's what it looks like Final Fantasy VII Remake looks better, and this is next gen. I think that did kind of ruffle their feathers a little bit internally, and they're like, we got to make this game look better. So I think that they are putting a pretty big focus on the graphical side of things to improve it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of hate that, but it is what it is.
As long as it's just like, hey, the game's ready, and we're just gonna polish it up to look fantastic, then yeah, cool. Even better game. As long as it hasn't taken away from anything else. If they're just adding on time to bring the graphical quality up to the expectations of next-gen gamers. Because as of right now, this is a PS5 exclusive next-gen title. And I will say, I do think 7 Remake looks better from a graphical perspective.
7 Remake is also Unreal Engine 4. It's a whole different engine. It's a different type of thing.
That doesn't matter to gamers, though. Who cares?
And I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm here to educate people. Stop doing that shit. That's why we have all this terrible crunch culture going on. Like...
But they're delaying it, so they're not crunching.
They're delaying it, so it's all good.
Hopefully they're not crunching. Yeah. I'm very excited for the reveal. When do you think it releases based on the reveal in spring and them wanting to have a close timeline as far as reveal to release?
I think holiday now.
I think so too, yeah.
I think there's still a chance it could slip to 2023, but I think the goal is holiday time, even if it's a December launch.
Yeah. I think they'll put out all the stops to get it out this year. Naughty Dog is rumored to have multiple The Last of Us releases in development for 2022. GameSpot writes, according to insider Tom Henderson, who is known for accurately reporting on news before it's announced, there are a number of new Last of Us games in the works, and at least one might be here in 2022. Henderson wrote on Twitter that, quote, multiple people have confirmed that the rumored remake of The Last of Us for PS5 is nearly finished and might launch in the second half of 2022. Separately, VGC said it heard the same thing from its own sources about a remake of The Last of Us for PS5 launching in the latter half. In April 2021, Bloomberg reported that a remake of The Last of Us was in the works for PS5, so there's plenty of evidence of its existence. There's no way this thing doesn't exist at this point.
No.
Additionally, Henderson said a director's cut of The Last of Us Part 2 and the standalone Last of Us multiplayer game are real and are on the way. Henderson said it's unclear exactly when or how they might be released. Henderson said the idea with all of these Last of Us related projects is to drum up hype for the upcoming Last of Us TV show for HBO starring Pedro Pascal as Joel and Bella Ramsey as Ellie. The show is in production now but doesn't have a release date, but all rumors point to that show also coming out this year.
Yeah.
So I think The Last of Us remake could be a summer title.
Right? It kind of makes sense. It's kind of what I was thinking from their original release cadence anyway, especially if they release it like in June and then they give like, you know, you'd have July, August off. And then like, say if God of War does hold on to that rumored September kind of launch.
Yeah.
Think about that. That cadence is huge this year with how we have all these games already starting next month, how it's just going to go straight down.
What's their big holiday 2022 title?
Well, that would be the thing now then, too. Is that going to be 16? Is that Final Fantasy 16 being that? Or is that God of War? Is God of War going to get pushed back a little bit to be that way? See, the thing that's really nice about where if God of War releases September, it can be part of that entire holiday sale that happens, you know?
Yeah.
That's where the brilliance of that coming out early is, because then it just has like that forward momentum in Black Friday sales and everything like that. Because I still believe they don't need holiday sales. It's not something that Sony needs to do. They do the stuff really well early in the year, and then they just keep pushing those games very well. Aside from the PS5 launch, I don't see their November release dates being very typical. Do you?
Okay. I don't think it has to be. I agree with you. I think that it's good to have a big holiday release, but it's not necessary. I think they can get by without it. Fallout TV series is in the work. Jonathan Nolan is attached to direct the pilot episode. The Verge writes, Amazon's TV series based on the Fallout video game is moving into production this year. Deadline and Variety report that Geneva Robertson Dworet of Captain Marvel and Graham Wagner of Silicon Valley will be the showrunners on the project. The official Fallout Twitter account retweeted Deadline story, by the way, of confirmation. The Prime Video show will be executive produced by Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, creators of Westworld. Bethesda Game Studios' Todd Howard and Bethesda Softworks' James Altman are also on board as executive producers. Nolan will direct the first episode. That's exciting.
It's very exciting. It'll be cool to see what they can do with that universe. There's some cool TV drama that can happen with that universe.
Yeah. The first season of Westworld was awesome.
I never got around to watching that. I've heard the first season's good. I heard the second season
I fell off. I lost interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of tells me everything.
I heard the third season was a step back up again, but I need to get back to it. I haven't caught up. Chris says in the chat, I thought originally The Last of Us Part 2 pacing was all over the place. Was set up. I find that a lot of people replay The Last of Us Part 2 and then realize that the pacing is actually great. I think people are just like were taken by surprise, and they weren't able to adjust quickly enough to what was going on. I loved it from the beginning. I think the pacing is magnificent, and I think it is very important to what the story is trying to do to have it structured that way. And I do see a lot of people replay it and say, wait, why didn't I like the pacing on the first go? Now it seems fine. I just think it was a tough pill to swallow, I think is all it is,
Yeah.
Take-Two acquired Zynga for $12.7 billion. GameSpot writes, Grand Theft Auto company Take-Two is acquiring Farmville company Zynga for $12.7 billion. The company announced on Monday morning. That was 2 weeks ago, I think. This is a combined cash and stock deal. Importantly, the deal has not closed, and it is a go shop provision. That means that Zynga has 45 days to look for a better deal from another company. If you guys remember, EA actually stepped in and stole Codemasters away from Take-Two. So it's happened once already. It could happen again. In a news release, Take-Two said this is a transformative combination of companies that make Take-Two one of the largest and most diversified mobile game publishers in the industry.
Yay.
It also increases their valuation by a lot. They go from an $18 billion valuation to a $30 billion valuation. So if Microsoft or Sony wants to acquire them, it's Zynga goes with it now, probably,
This was crazy.
Vince doesn't look happy about this.
It's just more consolidation.
It's more consolidation,
It's just tiring right now.
It's not over yet, Snake.
I know.
It's not over yet. Tom Henderson came out with a lot of leaks and speculation recently. First up, he says Dragon Age has no chance of releasing in 2022. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me either. I'm actually half waiting for it to be canceled, to be honest.
Oh, no, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know.
I mean, I haven't heard like that much problems behind. Like they're taking their time with it, but it doesn't seem like it's.
I think they lost their director.
I think they have lost their director. Yes.
Oh wait, I could be misremembering that. That could be the Anthem shenanigans that happened. No, that was part of that whole story. I can't remember full details, but they lost.
There's been some changing of hands.
Oh
and stuff
my
like
god,
that. Yeah.
so many changes of hands there.
There's stuff going on internally, without a doubt. But I do think it's going to release. As for Need for Speed, it's expected Criterion will release in September or October of this year, a Need for Speed. It's been paused in summer 2021 as Criterion needed to help with the development of Battlefield 2042. There's also motion to reveal Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order game by Respawn. Following today's announcement, or this week's announcement, that LEGO Star Wars will release April 5th, a May 4th reveal now seems incredibly likely for the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. That, of course, is May the 4th, Star Wars Day.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see that. I want to see if they built on that foundation.
I'd be shocked if they didn't. That game series has a lot of potential.
Oh my god, so much potential.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping we see like an Uncharted 2 level of increase with that.
Yeah, for sure. Going back to Battlefield 2042, EA is very disappointed in the performance sales-wise, and it's actually leading them to potentially go free-to-play model. Tom Henderson once again reported this, saying, quote, EA is reportedly very disappointed with how 2042 has performed and is looking at all the options when it comes to the title. This is including looking at free-to-play in some capacity.
It is so amazing to think that we were hearing all the way back in 2021 how Call of Duty was not going to be great, Battlefield was going to be this amazing game, and everything like that, and then just how the tables have turned. It's so crazy to me.
Oh, how the
turntables.
Yeah. Do you think it stays free to play, or do you think they like just do it with this one and then the next one they're back to normal?
I mean, here's the thing. I just don't see online multiplayer games being priced titles anymore.
Yeah.
It's weird.
If there's no single player campaign whatsoever.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like at first, it was like, yeah, whatever, who cares? They're just doing the thing that they do best. I think we talked about that a lot, and I think the market has completely changed. Halo launched its multiplayer free to play. You know,
Right.
I think it's different.
Let's go to some more rumors and speculation here. Sony reportedly is switching up Twisted Metal reboot development from Lucid, who worked on Destruction All-Stars, to a first-party dev. GameSpot writes, VGC has reported that Twisted Metal development duties have moved from Lucid Games, makers of Destruction All-Stars, to an unannounced Sony studio in Europe. Given that the game hasn't been formally revealed, neither Sony nor Lucid Games have provided a comment, but VGC sources suggest that the change might be down to Destruction All-Stars' tepid reception. The combat driving game was meant to launch with the PlayStation 5 for $60 before it was delayed shortly after, or before launch, for 3 months. When it did launch, Sony decided to offer the exclusive with PlayStation Plus and only sell it for $20 thereafter. The player base for the game dropped after launch, forcing Lucid to implement computer-controlled opponents to ease server wait times. Twisted Metal hasn't had a release since the game's most recent reboot in 2012, but Sony seems poised to bring back the series in a big way. A TV series based on the game was announced in 2019, with Sony mentioning the project again during CES 2022 last week. It's understood by VGC that the game is aiming to launch alongside the series in 2023, which gives development a tight schedule. Other insiders suggest the first-party developer is the recently acquired Firespray, and that they've been involved with the reboot for about a year. Some sources even say that Lucid was never involved, and that they are working on a separate PlayStation exclusive title. Insider Nate Drake confirms that Twisted Metal is in development for PS5 at Firespray, early in development, and will not come out this year. He mentioned later that a CG announcement is possible this year, at least.
Cool.
I hope that Lucid wasn't involved, because that would be the better scenario, obviously, if Lucid is working on their own thing and Firesprite's been brought in because they've been working on this from the start, and maybe Sony's really happy with Firesprite's work on Twisted Metal, and
right.
Let's bring them in as a first party. That would be the best outcome, in my opinion.
Yeah, if it's a change of hands like that, it's actually kind of scary for someone like Lucid Games. But I've been seeing a lot of reports that they are working on something else separate for PlayStation. So
I really want Twisted Metal to be Battle Royale type free-to-play game. That sounds weird, but I just feel like it makes sense for it. I want it to succeed, and I think its best path to success is that.
I agree with you. I think everyone's been talking about that.
Yeah, I want it to stick around. I want it to, because it was just like they already had a huge bomb with it in 2012. That did not do well at all.
Yeah,
like let's not bring it back just to have it bomb again. Like what's the point? Why are we doing this? Let's continue on with more Nate Drake leaks and speculation. Quote, there's a possibility we get to look at Bluepoint's original project. This is in 2022. For the team to come into their own, Nate said in passing, but sounds like confirmation, that there is a smaller project in development at Bluepoint. And as insider Millie said previously, Bluepoint will remake a game and make a smaller game, similar to Miles Morales in size. So maybe the original project is a small game. Nate and Millie both seem to be pointing towards the remake or sequel or reboot or something being related to Bloodborne. They're working on something Bloodborne related.
That's crazy to think. I hope they're ready.
Another quote here from Nate. Pending when Final Fantasy 16, probably 16. Pending when Final Fantasy 16 finally does release, I think we finally see Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2 revealed as a PS5 exclusive. No PS4. And believes it will come out in 2023, which has always been my thought as well. Square wants quicker turnarounds, he said. He's very confident, but still labels it as speculation. He believes 16 will make the second half of 2022. Contrary to previous reports, Persona 6 will actually be cross-generational, which is a bummer. Sony will retain whatever leverage they have on the mainline Persona games. Persona 6 will release on PS4 and PS5, and Persona 4 Golden will finally come to PS4, PS5, and Switch in 2022, he said. That's
nice.
Exciting.
That's exciting.
Going over to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. The Wizarding World website reaffirms that Hogwarts Legacy is coming in 2022. This is funny because this is all like contradicting our reports during Next Level Direct.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. But that's what they said. They said it's still coming out in 2022. I hope so. That'd be great.
I didn't believe the 2023 story to begin with, especially from where it was coming from. And we had two other insiders saying 2022. It was like, from the development that I followed, it makes sense this game to be hitting summer or winter of 2022.
Yeah. Storm Reed. Let me fast forward actually in the video here so you guys can see Storm Reed. because she has been cast as Riley in The Last of Us TV
so
series.
good.
If you guys don't know who Riley is, that was one of Ellie's friends. That she knew. There was a big mall segment that you play as in Left Behind, which is really great, and that's what introduces Riley. So she's an important character in
Very important.
Ellie's history, and I'm not surprised at all that they're incorporating that into The Last of Us TV series in season 1. Just kind of get it all in there, No reason to wait.
Do you think we get it in season 1?
I do, yeah. For sure. I think we get it in season 1. I think you get it early in season 1, actually.
I was going to say, I wondered when they're going to drop it. Because they're also doing the rumor is, too, they're doing American Dreams now as well, right?
That's the rumor. I'm not saying they do the entire mall segment in one episode, but I think they could go back to it multiple times throughout the first season. But I think
Kinda
Riley
Nightmare?
yeah, kind of. It's you keep getting more little tidbits from that moment in Ellie's life and how it feeds what's going on in the current storyline, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that show's going to be amazing.
Did I forget to put Storm Reed in my video here? She's in Euphoria. Was she at the beginning? I include.
I don't think
I forgot to include her. Son of a bitch.
Way to
right.
go.
Yeah, I forgot to include Storm Reed in my video. You guys should look her up. She's from Euphoria. She's a very good actress. She's 18 years old, but she does look a lot younger, actually. So I think they could be trying to pull off the whole 14, 15-year-old Ellie and Riley. I wonder. I also wonder if they're just going to age them up and have them be 17, 18 from the start. I don't know. I think people might be bothered by that if they do. Finally, Star Wars Eclipse is supposedly slated for 2026, 2027. This was the game that was revealed at the Game Awards from Quantic Dream with a CGI trailer. I knew it would be far away, but 5, maybe even 6 years away? Holy crap.
Yeah. It doesn't exist to me for right now. As much as I hate it, as much as I love what that trailer does, it doesn't exist to me right now.
Yeah, forget this game exists for a while.
Yeah.
There's no they should not have revealed this. This is one of those situations where, let's go back to our previous episode, when is a game revealed too early? This game was revealed too early. This is an example of a game being revealed too early. Why would you reveal this game if it's not coming out until 2026, maybe even later?
2027. It's dumb. It's so dumb. And it's CG. There's not even concept or anything like that we're seeing here.
I don't think they delayed it is the thing. That's what we're talking about, Chris. They revealed it knowing that this game is years and years away.
Yeah. If anyone wants to really kind of figure, no, the rumors behind this project is that it is terrible right now.
Quantic Dream was not equipped to handle this type of game.
And this is something that I think that they sort of pitched, not Star Wars, but they sort of pitched to Sony, and Sony was like, no, before they made Detroit Become Human.
Yeah.
So, it's supposed to be an open world RPG, something that Quantic Dream has not done at all.
I guess you could say it's been delayed internally, but it's too early to even say that because this is game development. This kind of stuff happens.
Yeah.
And for it to be that far away, they are early in development and still figuring out. They're prototyping this game probably is what's happening.
It's like they got the go ahead from Disney and they made up a CG trailer of hey, this is the game that we're gonna make.
Yeah. Now let's figure out how we're gonna make it.
Yeah.
What? What a back-asswards way of making a game.
Especially with how all over the place you go. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's never coming out. Storm Reed is a great casting choice as Riley. I know her from HBO Max original series Euphoria. Yep, exactly what I know her from. Check out her performance in the show. You can see similarities to her personality like Riley. Yeah, I think she's a very good actress, and I think Euphoria is a pretty good show as well. Quantic Dream's specialty to making games is interactive story-driven games, nothing immersive. That's open-world role-playing game. Right, and there's a part of that's in the DNA of Eclipse, from what I understand. It's going to be about multiple perspectives, characters choosing their path and having it diverge and come together and all that kind of stuff. So they're keeping in that realm, but they're also really deviating into new territory that they've never done before, and they're having a very difficult time, rumors speculate, with doing that. So we'll have to wait 5 or 6 years to find out.
5 or 6 years.
We'll see. That is the show, ladies and gentlemen, and we're pretty much like right on the mark as far as 3 hours go. We're at 10:56, so we'll take this moment to get closing comments and maybe a few questions from the chat here while we play out these last 4 minutes. But thank you so much to everybody for being a part of the show tonight. We have 26 people in the room right now. Every single one of you, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that if you are new here, hit that follow button, turn on notification, make sure you get those alerts whenever I go live with variety gaming and talk shows. That includes Wednesdays and Sundays typically for me. Vince has making a big move from Twitch to YouTube this week. So you guys could do a big favor to myself and Vince by giving him the subscription on YouTube at his channel that he just posted in the chat. Please do that. Let's give him a good start over there on YouTube so we can start his new career. If you're watching this on YouTube, on our channel, youtube.com/Droogle. I think it's Droogle. It might be Droogle TV. I'm trying to remember. It's Droogle. It's Droogle. I think that's probably outdated. I need to update that. Let me check, actually. Now I'm curious.
I just clicked on it.
It works.
It takes you right to it.
It works. That brings you right to my subscription page. So yeah, youtube.com/Droogle. We will archive this episode for people to watch and probably tear us apart for being PlayStation fanboys.
Probably.
I
would have to assume so. Yeah.
For sure.
Especially me.
Please get on our Discord if you want to be a part of the community and the conversation, even when I am not live. That is at discord.gg/Droogle. We do have one question from the chat here coming from Chris. Question: have you seen PlayStation Japan Twitter account? Yes, the 123. I mean, it is 123, and it didn't happen. There's no way they were going to reveal or even tease backwards compatibility on one regional account in such a way. If they reveal backwards compatibility of 1, 2, and 3, that is a megaton moment. Actually, that's huge. That is absolutely huge.
That is kind of huge.
They're gonna make a very big deal out of it if they do that, especially if it's full backwards compatibility.
Oh my
even
God.
if it's through PlayStation Plus now merging and you have to spend money for it, even if it's that, if they say you have access to every single PS1, 2, and 3 game, it would blow the doors off. Like, it would be crazy. I expect it to be a piecemeal thing where they gradually add titles over time. It'll start off with like 200 PS1 games, and they'll keep adding to that. And it's like, oh, now we're starting PS2, and they keep adding to that. And then PS3 will be the last one because that's the one that's hardest to do, and they'll eventually get PS3 on there as well, is what I imagine will be the case. We'll have to wait and see. Lastly, we have some major shout outs. Got to thank those that go above and beyond, either on Twitch or on Patreon, as producers, $25 and above. First off, our executive producer, supporting at $50, $25 on Twitch, $25 on Patreon. That is Brock, a.k.a. Baz023S. We appreciate you so much. Next up, of course, we have Vince joining us tonight. One of our producers came in tonight with that tier 3 sub. Appreciate that. Drock as well coming in tonight with his producer level sub of $25. Rose just this week upgraded. Wow. She became not just a tier of sub on Twitch. She is now also a Patreon pledge of $25. Wow. Rose is a producer of this show. Rose, thank you so much for doing that. And Store as well. I'm trying to remember if I think he's on Patreon. I think that's where he supports us at $25 tier. Store, Norwegian Yeller, one of our producers in a big way. You guys are amazing. That consistent income at that level is so important, especially on Patreon, where we get 91% of that. I should say specifically, I get 91%.
Time's up.
Jeff, thanks for coming in with the time's up. Thank you. So that is so important. Rose, that is a big deal. It really, really is a big deal. Thank you so much for doing that. And everybody else that has consistently supported us in that way. Brock, Vince, Duroc, and Store. You guys are the lifeblood of this channel. Thank you so much. That is it for us tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back next month. That'll be February 27th. The very, very end of February will be the next episode. I just realized that if I hit end show, it's probably going to break the stream because it's old school commands. So I'm just going to shut things down manually on this one instead of having the very clean outro. But we do hope to see you next month when we take it to the next level. Until then, take care. And as always, don't forget to level
Level up.